complete picture at this point now of, it gives us kind of a complete picture of what may have shaped the young Blackbeard to be so different from Rox. So with that, I will talk to you all next week. What is going on, everybody? Sorry, I was just finishing up the Morgecast right there. Hope you guys are enjoying. No, I was not late. I was right on time. I will be uploading the Morgecast, though, real quick. How's everybody doing? How you all doing? If you guys want to check out the Morgecast, then definitely, if you want to join the Yonko tier and you want to support, then that would, of course, be very much appreciated. Let's get into the. I thought this was a fun topic for the stream because I was just thinking about. There's several. I'm in a tricky spot right now because there's a lot of topics that I want to do for that are stream topics that I want to do, but I have to wait for God Valley to end to do all of them. There's so many fun stream topics that I could be doing right now. So I have to do some of the backup topics a little bit in terms of things that are interesting and fun to talk about, but not necessarily like I can't delve too much into. I'm okay. So the things I want to do, I want to do the God Valley or the Rox Flashback MVP list. I want to do the God Valley MVP stuff and everything like that. I want to do all of that stuff. So there's a lot of things that we cannot do just yet. That we gotta wait on. So, hold on. Let me upload this real quick. The fuck? Yeah. There's a lot of things that I want to do. That we gotta wait. I want to do our strength ranking again. I want to evaluate our matchups. Were totally off. Our matchup, well, to be fair, that's because it turned out to be not like Rox Pirates versus Roger Pirates. It turned out to be everybody versus Celestial Dragons in a sense. Hold on. There we go. Yeah. All right. Oh shit! Did JWP just come? JWP, thanks so much, man. Thanks for gifting the 10 memberships. With that, a lot of people will now be able to listen to the Morgecast that I just recorded. So yeah, everybody go check that out. Thanks a lot, man. I really do appreciate that. Everybody in chat obviously really appreciates when you come through and drop memberships like that, of course, man. So thank you very much, as usual. Got a lot of people. Everybody say thanks to JWP in chat. Everyone say thanks to JWP. Just let him know. Let him feel the love. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. Let's get the stream likes up to 50 real quick. And, let me quickly go through this. Sid P, thanks for the 5. Speaking of podcasts, why haven't you been on Discord the last few years? Why did he even make it in the first place? Are you invisible? Discord? Oh, so Morge Discord I made really early days in the channel. I want to say I made the Morge Discord like 2019 or 2020 maybe. This was when I was like really just getting the channel kind of rolling. And I made a Discord server because I just thought that's what you're supposed to do. Now, I am not somebody that likes to regularly interact with lots of people on social media. So I made the Discord server because I thought I'm supposed to make a Discord server because other One Piece YouTubers had Discord servers. So I was like, I guess I'm supposed to make one. So I made one. That's really the only reason. I'm probably not going to be using that Discord server much again, but I know that Discord has built its own sort of community over time, and the person that runs it, who was how do I say this? He was somebody that I knew from the One Piece subreddit, Potential Pizza, basically. And he's somebody who I'm still pretty regularly in touch with. Not super regularly, but I am in touch with. And so I know little bits and pieces of stuff in the Discord. But I'm pretty out of tune as to what goes on there. Carnage, thanks for the 5. Seeing the Holy Knights covered is the One Piece. Is this One Piece or Power Rangers? Okay, I still don't know why. Because Oda wasn't always like this, like, his color schemes weren't, because a lot of people are like, well, this is just how One Piece has always been. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think his color schemes were always this wacky back in the day. I think that okay, how do I explain this? I'm always down for One Piece having really cool, vibrant color schemes and like experimenting with different styles and stuff like that, right? But at the same time, there are times where there's a difference between like a character like Doflamingo, where it feels like, oh, going for this out of the box, like flamboyant, like really pink, wacky design or whatever, that feels like it fits the character and gives a certain vibe, right? I do think there are times where, I think the Gorosei are the classic example to me, where if you go for a certain type of design, like the Goroseis, which is, let's say, more berserk slant, right? More of a berserk slant. I think in that case, it can often be better to commit to that style of design in general, even when it comes to the colors. That's just my take. I think One Piece purists will say that no, it should always be colorful, but I think, for example, you look at Kaido, I think if you look at Kaido's introduction, if a few chapters later, like that there's a certain impact and power to just actually committing to a genuinely sort of traditionally badass design. And that doesn't mean that everything in One Piece needs to be like that, but the contrast can be fun, right? Like you got characters like Doflamingo, and then you got characters like Kaido. You got characters like Big Mom, and then you got characters like Mihawk, right? I think that contrast is fun. I think when you have a design like Kaido, if like 10 chapters later Oda revealed the color scheme and Kaido's a bunch of rainbowy colors or something like that, it kind of takes away from that intimidating Oni sort of feel. And then you can be like, well, that makes it more One Piece. It's true, but then you're losing the unique impact that the character had. So long story short, I don't think the God's Knights outfits are like, oh, it ruins the God's Knights or whatever. But I am curious why. It feels like Oda was more willing to do a solid mix of traditionally badass designs in the past with like badass color schemes in the past, along with some more kooky, vibrant color schemes. But I think nowadays he's shifted to a more, the norm is the goofy color scheme, which is an odd choice when you've got character designs that might carry more weight if they just were more traditional, I don't think the God's Knights are the best example for that. I don't think the God's Knights are that bad, though. Let me look at Killingham again, because Killingham's got such a cool, human design. So let me look at Killingham. He's got such a cool human design. So let me try and imagine that with, where's the God's Knights' color schemes? Let's see. Here, let's see. Oh, Holy Knights. Yeah, my thought is that I think that Killingham looks a lot cool. I even think that it's not even about, I don't know if it's even about just the color choices, being too bright. To me, part of it is even about just what's the character supposed to feel, right? So my thought was that Killingham is supposed to be this sort of nightmare type figure, right? That's his ability, right? He brings nightmares to life, he's like a fear-based villain. So having a very bright, I guess, let's see. What does the Scarecrow look like in Batman? I guess it fits like the Scarecrow vibe a little bit. Yeah, I'm not trying to put it in a box or anything. It's just sometimes, like killing him when his human design was revealed, it was badass, and it's like sometimes it's just okay to stick with a badass design. Sommers, I think, is just, I don't know what to say. It's just like, yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't think Shamrock looks bad. A lot of people had Shamrock in like some sort of black and gold type thing. Um, I think the blue cloak is kind of. Wait a second. So the cloak is blue, right? So he's not wearing that black cloak that people saw in chapter 900 something when Shanks was talking to the Gorosei, right? So is that suspicious? Maybe that's suspicious. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Knut Music says he's gotten more vibrant over time, but now it's jarring because these are the most evil villains in One Piece. Yeah, I just think that a lot of fan colorings feel more enjoyable than the color choices that Oda goes with. And it's not just that they feel more enjoyable. Sometimes you see a color scheme that Oda does, and it doesn't just feel like underwhelming. It can feel like it can almost feel like it's difficult to imagine doing a design, like a color scheme. Like if somebody handed you like the black and white image of, like let's say a Gorosei or something, and was like, okay, do a color scheme for this. It's almost harder to imagine sometimes a worse color scheme to do. Like if you asked a fan to do it, like a lot of Oda's color schemes that he puts out, let's say a fan had put out that coloring, they would probably get roasted for that, So, like, I'm looking at Sommers right now. I'm like, if somebody did a fan coloring of Sommers that looks like this, people would be like, why is Sommers just a giant grape? What's the reason for that? That's silly. It doesn't feel like it adds anything for his character or anything. I don't know. Like, killing him especially stands out to me because it's the fear, nightmare type thing, and his facial design really invokes that. So you would think that maybe a bit more black or dark coloring for his clothing would fit. I don't know. I think the Gorosei were a bit more jarring to me because the Holy Knights I view as like less significant, like because the Gorosei invoked a very specific vibe, in terms of these nightmarish creatures. I think the anime did a really good job smoothing over the Gorosei in a sense where it feels a bit more like they still feel cool. But I think the anime was doing an uphill battle with that. Anyway, continuing on. Let's get the stream likes up to 50 real quick. And again, like the thing I really want to hammer in is that this is not to say that One Piece designs need to all be like really like serious or anything like that. It's just a reminder that in the past, I think one of the things that's really cool about One Piece has been the spectrum. I do feel like if Mihawk were introduced today, like reintroduced today as a brand new character, he would look a lot sillier. I think he would look a lot sillier. It's a miracle Kaido got saved from this. Kaido, King, characters like that. Anyway, continuing on. Hold on. Okay. Leonard Joaquin Teofranco. Thanks for bringing a Yonko tier member for 3 months, man. Wonder if Morge becomes enemy of One Piece Twitter if the analysis drops. If Blackbeard is 0 and Luffy is 100, where would Rocks be in vibe? Thanks for the membership. Thanks for the membership. Oh, did JWP just give you a membership? It says you've been a member for 3 months, man, so I appreciate the past support at least. Becomes the enemy of One Piece Twitter if the analysis drops. I guess we'll see. One of the other reasons, like, if I drop the Wano analysis, what I want to do after that is take like a solid 2-week break or something. So, but I imagine that if the video gains some traction, you never know, maybe it just bombs, but if the video gets some traction, then I feel like there'll be 2 categories of people, right? There'll be people that do want to engage and have like actual critiques and breakdowns, and then people who just pull certain things out of context and are bad faith defenders of One Piece, basically. And I'm not looking forward to that. And then the worst will be people who don't even quote anything from the video at all, but are basically just like, Morge said Wano is like this because this or something. And it's just like, I don't even know how to defend that, because it's like, well, then I have to ask, like, where in the video did I say that? Okay, how about we look at the whole section? I don't know. So it's going to be a pain in the ass. I don't want to have to go defending the video a bunch. Ideally, like, I kind of want to just drop it and let it ride. But at the same time, if I feel like there's a ton of... Maybe there'll be a backup video. Like, maybe if I feel like there's a ton... Nah, I don't want to have to keep rehashing the same thing. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll just let it ride. I don't know. If there's a lot of backlash, I might just let it ride. We'll see. Because sometimes it's just not worth it, you know? Because already releasing the Wano video, I have to engage in some level of... oh, shit. You know what? The camera turned... No, is the what's going on with the... Are my settings fucked again, or was this just what it was like before too? Let me compare to a previous stream. Because I thought I fixed the settings a little bit. Yeah, because finishing the Wano analysis, I'll have to delve into a lot of negativity just to do that. And then I don't want to stay in a negative headspace where, like, okay, once I put the video out, I want to go back to focusing on enjoying Elbaf, presumably enjoying God Valley, or the Rocks flashback. I don't have to then go in and respond to every little thing or whatever. It's You know what? You know what I might do? Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do like maybe I'll get the Wano thing out, and then I'll figure it out later. JWP, thanks for the 5. So excited for next chapter. Oda is cooking so much. Yeah. Next chapter, I've already seen a little bit of spoilers for it. If it is what it is, it just sounds like fan fiction. It's kind of insane. Andrew Anami says camera looks fine. Yeah, I fixed camera recently, I swear. And I fixed it by myself. I didn't even have my editor help me, so I'm pretty proud of myself. But let me see. Let me confirm that this is what it's been looking like. Okay, yeah. It was some streams ago, like, that it was just like, yeah. Okay. It's fine right now. Okay, cool. Anyway, Obsidian Angel. That's a cool name. Thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 11 months. Imagine in Gear 5, Luffy rips off Imu's silhouette. What? That would be insane. That'd be funny. Imagine it being like a Scooby-Doo type thing, where he unmasks him. That'd be really funny. Let's get the stream likes up to 100 real quick. Molly, thanks for the 5. I've been rereading the flashback, and I seriously can't believe what we're seeing. We're about to get Rocks and other legends versus Imu. That's insane. Yeah. No, this is it's actually it's it's so absurd, because even just the initial prospect of God Valley that we were sold on seemed too cool to be true. Like, Rocks, getting to see like Roger, Garp fight against like Rocks, Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom. That seemed amazing on paper. But then you flip it and it's like, no, actually Rocks, Whitebeard, and Kaido are fighting Imu, and then Rocks and Garp also being on the scene and potentially jumping in. Like, that's even crazier, because you're throwing like the big kahuna into the whole mix, and then you're making everybody else fight him. That's just amazing. Dick so small, I piss on my balls. Thanks for the 5. I think the Celestial Dragons' names and outfits are meant to convey them as ostentatious, the impression of being regal and sophisticated, but they lack true taste. Sure, I guess. What about the Gorosei then? Like, you can make a reason for everything, I guess, but some things are just about feel, you know? Like, sometimes it just feels a little bit cooler to roll with a not, like, different for the sake of different type color scheme, you know? Hassan, thanks for the 5. Mihawk said Luffy had the strongest ability on the seas by turning those around him into allies. Luffy with charisma, Luffy with Dami Reversi. That's a really good point of contrast. Yeah, it's a very good point of contrast. Salvador, thanks to the dude. That the lame season 2 One Piece live action episode titles give me bad vibes. Okay, so for people who might not know what is being referred to here, the One Piece season 2 live action titles came out. I do think that the titles are kind of silly, and what was the season 1 titles called? Why are season 2's titles called this? One Piece live action season 1 episodes. Romance Dawn, The Man in the Straw Hat, Tell No Tales, The Pirates Are Coming, Eat at Baratier, The Chef and the Chore Boy. The Girl with the Sawfish Tattoo, Worst in the East. So those are some good titles. One Piece live action season 2 titles. Okay, The Beginning of the End. That's a good title. Good Whale Hunting. I think that's fine. Like one pun. I think all the I don't know why it went all into puns. The Beginning of the End is a good title to start with. Good Whale Hunting. I think doing one funny one is fine, especially because that's a lighter episode. Whiskey Business. I don't like that. Big Trouble in Little Garden. I think that's fine as a title on its own. Yeah, it's just, I think Nami Dearest Reindeer shit. Wait, so it's fucking, is it 3 episodes in Drum Kingdom? How do you do 3 episodes in Drum Kingdom? I imagine the last episode, Dear and Loathing in Drum Kingdom, will be a truncated or you know how the last episode of season 1 was only partially Arlong Park, kind of wrapping the plot, and then the rest was world building for the next. I imagine that'll be Dear and Loathing in Drum Kingdom. 2, 3, 4. I thought this one would only have 7 episodes, actually. I heard it would only had 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yeah, it is only 7. I guess 3 episodes in Drum Kingdom, because Drum Kingdom's conflict is just a weak it's a very strong storyline for Chopper, but they need to really up the ante with Wapol if they're gonna do that there. My prediction still, I'll always say that basically what I think happens with Drum Kingdom is this. One Piece Wapol form. I think this is what they're going to do with Wapol. God damn it. Man, this is gonna be a little hard to find. Okay, hold on. Let's see if I can find this. Okay, 150, 146 or something maybe. Here, let's see if we can find this. Okay, so I think this is what they do with Wapol. Keep repeating this. Come on. All right, let's get to the Wapol fight. I think it's like 49. God damn it. How long does this shit go? Okay, so I think Okay. You see this? Okay. So this form that Wapol references right here, right? This was like a big gap. I've talked about this before on stream, but this is actually a real form that Wapol has because he defeats Dalton with it. Let me see. Is it at the end of the? It's somewhere. It's in some. We see some flashback. It's Dalton. Dalton has a flashback to this shit. Yeah. Okay. You see this? So, you guys can see this shit, right? Okay. So, the gag with Wapol was that Luffy was kicking Wapol's ass, low diff or whatever. But Wapol's building up to, like, I need this special key. If I can get this key, then I can eat all the special weapons in there and then turn into just, like, some unbeatable monster, living human weapon or whatever, right? So it's a pretty prolonged gag. If I build up, I can do this. Now behold, as I unlock this, it's gone. This is back when One Piece's comedy was really good because Oda was okay with doing extended gags. He's not okay with doing extended gags anymore. Like, gags that take up this much story time. Like, this is, like, actual lots of panels devoted to comedic timing and shit, and then that. Yeah, so that was supposed to be Wapol's big signature move. Didn't go through, couldn't do that, okay? So then we move on with the fight. But we do see that in the past, it looks like Wapol actually, in this form, is pretty fucking strong, because he defeats Dalton, and Dalton is implied to be not a pushover. Dalton's implied to be fairly tough, you know? At least for East Blue early Grand Line standards, right? Like, Dalton is the strongest island-based character. He's the first strong, like, island-based citizen that we've ever had. You know? That's not, like, a opponent, right? I guess you could count Dory and Brogy, but they're giants. We don't count them. Like, I'm saying, like, a normal town, it's like, our strongest warrior is, like, fucking Gen or something in Nami's... No, I'm lying, because Zeph is probably... Anyway, it doesn't matter. Dalton... Dalton... I don't know why I'm trying to hype up Dalton so much, but the point being that, at least in the manga, it's implied that Wapol is at least stronger than Dalton when he's really getting down to it, you know? The Wapol that we see, that Luffy fights is significantly weaker, because the Wapol that Luffy fights actually... Man, I'm trying to find the chapters for this shit. Okay, this will probably be a lot earlier. Maybe it's 135 or something. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so Dalton is actually pretty strong, right? Because Dalton, as far as we know, he can basically beat Wapol. He's pretty strong. He can one-shot Wapol, as far as we can tell, right? Wapol only gets saved because, like, the doctors fucking sew his fucking head back on, or whatever the fuck. Some absolute bullshit. But Dalton, like, if you look at normal Wapol, Dalton can basically beat him roughly as easily as Luffy can, okay? Dalton does do some crazy shit. Like, look at these, all the soldiers tried to fight him. He does some actual, like, fucking CP9 Soru shit or whatever. He's not obviously that strong. I'm just saying that he's pretty decently strong for this period of time, okay? He only gets taken down because he has to put his body on the line to save some citizens, right? So, Wapol hypes up this form. This form is able to beat Dalton, as far as we can tell. My feeling is that the One Piece live action will take some creative liberty. I think it will, because it's the climax of a season. It will have Wapol actually eat all of his weapons in his armory. He will get to use his special form. And so then we'll have an actual challenge for Luffy at the end. Something a bit stronger than Mr. 3, but obviously nothing close to Crocodile. That's my feeling so far. That's what I think we're going to see. Does that make sense? 8080 says the comedy is good. It's not as good as it was before. The thing that's changed about the comedy is that before... I could do a full video on this, but in the past, in One Piece, Oda would take time to do, like, comedy scenes. I don't think he does comedy scenes anymore that I can think of. Maybe the closest I can think of is, like, the start of Elbaf when they're in Legoland, the opening scenes with Usopp and Nami. But in general, Oda doesn't really do comedy, like, committed comedy bits. And Oda was really strong with committed comedy bits. Like, when they first meet Crocus for the first time, it's like 2-3 pages just of, like, setting up, or maybe not two, maybe I'm exaggerating, but, like, it's full-on pages of, like, Setup, build up, punchline, repeat gag, stuff like that, right? Nowadays, One Piece's comedy, there will be jokes. There's not extended comedy scenes. It's jokes that are mixed into what's happening, or like a character saying something funny, or something zany happening. But doing full extended comedy sequences, I don't think that's a thing in One Piece nowadays anymore. To understand what I'd mean by that, maybe I'd have to go back through the series to give examples. But in the past, Oda'd be okay with doing like full pages just for a comedy scene. Like setting up a joke, setting up a punchline, turning it on its head, giving beats like even just the beats of like you saw in that scene where the reaction of like a single panel of Luffy's like reaction of like, okay, nothing happened, a single panel of Dalton's or Wapol's reaction of, okay, nothing happened, and then the panel where Wapol like freaks out and runs away. Panel space in One Piece is very tight right now. We don't have time for shit like that, basically. There's still jokes. There's jokes. There's not dedicated comedy sequences, or if they are, they're very few and far between. Trying to think. It might be worth a video at some point. Chapter 1044 was a committed comedy bit. Let's take a look. Trying to remember what. Oh, Gear 5th? That's not the same. Those are jokes. Like a comedy scene, like a full-on comedy scene. Like the whole thing is a joke. Like the whole thing is setup, extended punchline, etc. Like Luffy doing gag things. Those are gags. That's not the same. It's just like it goes to the point that Oda did a full committed comedy mini arc with fucking Duval and stuff. Like that's stuff that's not going to happen nowadays in the story. Continuing on. JWP says, what the fuck? What the hell is this? Oh my god. YouTube's you guys will never understand what I mean when I say YouTube's new UI is like genuinely terrible. Okay, all right, fixed. No, it's not. What the fuck just happened? What is this? What the fuck is going on? Okay, come on. I'm pretty sure the Wano analysis was supposed to come out before I became a member. It keeps fucking hiding this shit from me. Why is this doing this? This is actually idiotic. I literally cannot read this comment. Okay, hold on. I gotta scroll to find it. Okay, JWP, thanks for the 5. I'm pretty sure the Wano analysis was supposed to come out before I became a member. For context, I'm about to hit 36 months, LMAO. That is crazy, man. I can't believe that I've had it on hold for that long. Chino Alabat says, AI is so ass, man. They shove the AI down our throat in everything. Okay, so AI is ass in a lot of ways, but I cannot deny that it. So from a creator standpoint, it did actually make, like, there's certain like housekeeping things that you have to do when you're uploading YouTube videos and stuff like that. That YouTube's AI has actually made it easier to do. So like I'm talking about like once you're publishing the video and then there's all the things you have to do with title tags, yada yada yada. YouTube has rolled out some things that I cannot deny have made things easier as a creator on my end. So I'm not going to be like AI is just ass overall. And like I think everybody would acknowledge that in some ways there are some things that AI has made easier for you in life, right? But the YouTube I don't know what the this is fucking stupid. Okay. It made a change to the streaming setup that is really frustrating and makes it like I have to click between a shit ton of different tabs just to see how many people are viewing, what are the likes at. Also, let's get the likes up to 100. What are people's comments? It's annoying. Anyway. All right, continuing on. Stormy says, Morge, you're an AI user, but you degrade Gen Z. Because I feel like with Gen Z, they're growing up or is it Gen Alpha? I don't know, whichever one. Um, they're growing up without the ability to think critically, right? Because they just want AI for the answers. So that's the difference, right? Um, AI as a tool for assistance or whatever, versus AI for the answers. I think that's the key difference. Gen Alpha is growing up like that? Yeah, probably. Late Gen Z too? Yeah, so with the generations, I thought that there's like a more clear way that they figured out differences in generations, but I feel like there's a bigger difference between like late Gen Z and like current Gen, like older Gen Z, right? Because um, late Gen Z, those are the people that are like 6, 7 and all that stuff, right? But older Gen Z, if we're being honest, I am almost Gen Z. I'm 95 born, late 95. My birthday is actually in October. So I'm very late 95 born. And then I think the cutoff for Gen Z is 97, 98 or something. Like my younger sister is Gen Z and she's very like, she doesn't vibe with any of the Gen Z stuff. She's much closer to like millennial mentality. And even friends I have who are a few years younger, because I've got a decent age range friends wise, right? Who are Gen Z, they're not like fucking the 6, 7. I feel like 6, 7 generation is a thing, you know? 6, 7 like I think that the cutoff should be if you think 6, 7 is funny or not, you know? Cold Crew says, "Dang, dude, you're 30." I'm about to turn 30 this month in a little bit. Okay, Maya says, "And yet we still call Morja Boomer, lol." Yeah, yeah. COVID was a bigger rift than a random 15-year period. Yeah. So are generations decided by like is it standardized? Like every X number of years, it's they call it a new generation. Um, is that the way it works? Is it like after every, you said 15 years? Is it every 15 years? Or is it more so by certain milestones that shape a certain generation? Because one thing I read is that you're a millennial. Sorry, you're a millennial if you can remember 9/11. Obviously, not like. Obviously, that doesn't mean like if you're 60, you're a millennial. It's more like the cutoff. Whereas Gen Z is the age where you probably can't remember 9/11. And I used to be, I'd heard that before, and I was like, that can't be a thing, because that seems like really arbitrary. But then one time I told my sister that fact, and I was like, yeah, I heard that Gen Z means that you can't remember 9/11. And then she was like, you can't remember 9/11. She was actually shocked, like not shocked. It wasn't even shocked. It was like accusatory. She was like, that's fucking stupid. You can't remember where you were at 9/11 or anything like that, because she couldn't comprehend that this was actually like a formative memory for me, that I did remember where I was at 9/11, and I did remember like kids being, I was in New Jersey at the time, going to school in New Jersey, so like kids were rounded up, sent back home half day early or whatever, and then you could actually see some level of smoke even though it was so far away. Like you could see like a faint thing because New Jersey's not that far off from New York. Then you go home and then my mom had it on the news and everything, and yeah, like my sister was actually like, that's not, like, you're lying. You can't remember that. She legitimately thought I was lying. It's like, no, that's... I was mind blown that she couldn't remember, but then it made sense when I was like, okay, you're like 2.5 years younger than me. That makes sense, I guess. But I was surprised that she couldn't remember it, and then she straight up did not believe that I could remember it. So I think that's funny. Dick so small, I pissed on my balls. I wonder if a Domid Ope user could do the immortality operation repeatedly. Oh, that's an interesting idea. It's a fun little theory. That's an interesting idea. Reinu Akura says, imagine we called beta. Oh no, there's no way they're calling the next generation beta. Is that a thing? Jacob said 30 today is not the 30 of before. People had homes and whole families back then. Were definitely different. Yeah, but I like that better because I like that a lot better. I just feel like, in my mind, I feel like people in past generations were rushed too quickly to do certain things. And life, you just have a lot more time to do things than you think, especially life expectancy is a lot more. I know that a lot of the limitations nowadays are based on economic reasons, right? People if everyone could have a house, they probably would like to have a house. I've actually personally questioned at points though if I like is house just strictly straight up better than renting an apartment, because like I've rented for God knows how long, and even the times I've thought about like, okay, maybe like would it be a good idea to buy a house or something like that, and then it's just like I would not be a good homeowner. I know that because every time something breaks or something needs to be fixed, I do not want to be asked to do it. Like I do not want to, like that's, I don't want more chores. I'm okay with the fact that like at my apartment I can put in a work order and then they come and then they fix it for me and then it's done. I'm actually like, I know I don't own the apartment, but in my mind I'm just like, and I know that I'm not gaining equity, I'm losing money, etc. But I'm like, I feel like I'm paying also for the service of never having to worry about my living space. Whereas homeowners that I've, some of my friends are, one of my good friends just became a homeowner this year, and it's just like so much fixing of shit. So much fixing shit. Rihanna, sorry, thanks for the 5, but I'm sorry the message was deleted. Kingling Demi-Human says, damn, Morge, you're from Jersey, you should be depressed. I'm not from Jersey. So interestingly, here is the arc, okay? First born in India, in Delhi. Then my family moved over to New York. I was around 2 years old, okay? Then 1.5, 2 years old, okay? Then 3 years in New York, so until I was 5 years old. Then when I was 5, we moved from New York to New Jersey. Stayed in New Jersey for 2 years. And then New Jersey to Maryland. And then Maryland I lived in till I was, I want to say, was it 25, 26 years old? Something like that. And then, and then I did one last move to where I currently am. Rain Uakura says, did you just delete a super? It was a spoiler? Yeah, deleting a spoiler is okay. As long as it's clearly a spoiler. Earth Choppa says, do you have an Indian accent? I mean, that's, do you guys think I have an Indian accent? I don't think I've been told I don't have an accent, but I also don't have an American accent. But the Jersey period of my life was, okay, so the funny thing is, my parents being immigrants, they didn't know the standard flow of things. So my dad had a job at, he was a scientist, a researcher, right? So he came over to the United States because he's better able to do scientific research and stuff. And he had a job, and the job, part of what it allows is that it sets you up with, it's not like my dad had the highest salary, but it sets you up with an apartment in New York as part of it, so that it allows especially immigrant workers or whatever to be able to stay in America, right? So that was one of the big benefits of the job, okay? So that's how my dad was like able to live in New York right off the bat, even though it's like one of the most expensive places to live, period. It's because his workplace was covering him. And it was a small apartment and everything, but that's just the way that it is in New York, right? So his salary is nowhere near like I can live in New York City salary, but his workplace is allowing him to do that. Now, the funny thing is, because my parents are immigrants and they don't know as much about like the United States setup and the culture and everything, and they don't know that New York City is like they understand that they're in a big special city, but they don't understand that like how lucky they are to be able to live in the city, like the biggest city in the world or whatever, with most of their rent and everything covered and taken care of, and like they're living essentially in this place that's well beyond what they should be able to afford. So all they hear is that it's normal for people to, like, as families grow and like you're having like your kids are growing up and everything, they learn that it's normal to move from New York to New Jersey, and New Jersey is apparently where, like, that's where they hear it. New Jersey is where you go, where you want to have a home and build your family and everything. So, but my parents can't actually afford a home in New Jersey. They just get the message that like, okay, we're supposed to move to New Jersey. That's like the idea of what normal Americans do or something like that. We're supposed to go to New Jersey and like raise our kids there and not in the city or whatever. So my parents do something that nobody fucking does. They left the apartment that they'd essentially been like like gifted in New York to not buy but rent an apartment in New Jersey. That's not a real thing. So we went from renting an apartment in New York, right, that was largely paid for, best city in the world, according to many people, to rent an apartment in New Jersey, which is like the most fucking suburbs, like whatever type thing. It makes no fucking sense to give up that to do that. And now they're paying full price or whatever because they can't actually afford a home in New Jersey. And my dad is also commuting to New York City every day. And they're just like, we thought that's what we were supposed to do. And so then that's why we only stayed in New Jersey for 2 years. Because like after a little bit, it was like, wait, why the fuck did we do this? Why are we renting an apartment in New Jersey when we had an apartment in New York City? And my dad's still going to work every day to New York City. And then that led to him getting a new job. And then we went to Maryland. And then we did buy a house in Maryland. And then the stuff, whatever. Anyway, yeah. So that was, sorry about the long lore, but that's something that I discovered recently. Because when I was a young kid, I never questioned that. I was just like, okay, so for some reason we were in New York earlier, and then we went to New Jersey, and then Maryland, and then later on I had questions. I was like, how are we able to afford living in New York? And then they're like, we couldn't, but we thought we weren't even. we thought we were supposed to go to New Jersey, and it's like, man, you guys gave up that. Anyway. Rainy, what courses could have been NYC Morge? I mean, I've considered moving back there because just went there for Anime NYC, and then after that, when I was in Maryland, my girlfriend and I went up to visit New York again because I wanted to take her there. She'd never been there, and we both really, really loved it. So I don't think I'd ever want to live in New York City, but I'd want to be close and then maybe be able to get there in like 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. Javon Johnson, thanks for being a Pirate King to your member for 18 months, man. Yo, Morge, what is your favorite aspect of Oda's writing in the final saga? I feel like it'll end up being the best saga in the story, and it's living up to it so far. I do think that it's shaping up to be the best saga in the story. What I believe, like, my favorite aspect of Oda's writing in the final saga is what he's been doing with the long-running side characters. Long-running side characters, so everything that we're seeing, like, Egghead was an amazing arc for long-running side characters. I feel like, I guess I could say character writing in general, okay, because I think Egghead, amazing arc for side characters, terrible for Straw Hats, but then Elbaf got rolling, and Elbaf feels like it's set up to be more Straw Hat focused. It has less focus on the side characters, putting the Straw Hats front and center a bit more. It's still, like, at least compared to other post-time skip arcs, it's still not pre-time skip levels of focus, but I think it's getting there. And I think it has stuff set up for every single Straw Hat between, like, Frankie and the Atom Tree, and then Robin and Saul, whatever Usopp's going to get. Sanji conquers Haki, right? I think there's so many things set up for the Straw Hats and Elbaf, and it just feels like we're getting to spend more time with them. And then this Rocks flashback is adding so much more to the characters that we already have, like Garp, like Dragon, like Whitebeard, like Roger, right? So I think that just character stuff is really, really... you can tell that Oda saved so many of his character ideas for this part of the story, you know? And I really, really appreciate that. And I do think it'll end up being the best saga in the story, I think, when all is all said and done. Emotional storytelling matters a lot for me, for everybody, obviously. I don't know if this storyline will top Water 7 and Enies Lobby emotionally for me. Because with Water 7 and Enies Lobby, it's like... just the final saga is going to be a lot bigger, but in terms of just, like, Water 7 and Enies Lobby felt really big for its time, and then what it did emotionally for me with the combination of Usopp's story and Robin's story and the Going Merry and Frankie's story and just everything that it did for the Straw Hat crew as a whole, I think that's very difficult to top. And I don't think that's a weird thing to say, even because, like, even Oda said that he is worried that he won't be able to write as touching a story as Enies Lobby ever again. So I wouldn't be surprised if Water 7 Enies Lobby remains my favorite peak of One Piece, because just the emotions of that part of the story, like, forget One Piece. I mean, forget other One Piece arcs, right? Like, that is my favorite storyline of anything, period, right? For me, it is the most emotionally moving storyline for me out of any story I've read. Part of that is, the timing, my age when I read it, all of that being a very formative storyline for me. It's just but like also just the merits of the storyline itself, how much came together for that. So I think that might be hard to knock off the throne for me as my favorite storyline in One Piece. But I think the final saga, like, if I were to rate real quick here, because we should also be getting to our topics here, right? If I were to be rating, like, what my favorite sagas in One Piece are, if I were to rate my favorite sagas, it would be something like... My favorite sagas are something like, right now, let's see. So first is East Blue, but then I like Baroque Works. I'm doing it in order, right? So Baroque Works I like better than East Blue. Skypiea I got below East Blue. And then we got, then Water 7 Enies Lobby. I guess I just call it the Enies Lobby saga. Water 7 Enies Lobby. I think I got... I might have Thriller Bark above Skypiea. No, because Jaya is really strong. I still think that Skypiea is one of the... These are my favorites, right? So my favorites, I think Thriller Bark I prefer. If I were to rate them as arcs, like how the merits of their storytelling, I think I'd put Skypiea higher. Favorite sagas, personal preference. East Blue, Thriller Bark. Then I got Marineford. Then I got Fishman Island. Then I got Dressrosa. Or I guess Yonko Saga. What's it called? Is it called the Yonko Saga? I think it got an official name recently, right? Or is it split up into two? What is it called? Does it have an official name? Versus Yonko. And then right now for me, between Egghead and Elbaf, I think between Egghead and Elbaf, the final saga is already shaping up to be at least top 4. So at least above any of these, right? So I think it'll end up somewhere here. My feeling is that it beats Baroque Works. I feel like it's already on its way to... I think it's almost guaranteed to be top 3 for me unless Oda really rushes or fucks up or does like a ton of terrible decisions. Like, if every chapter is like Saul coming back... Like, if every few chapters is something like Saul coming back to life, then... Saul being revealed to be alive, right? Something like that. If every few chapters it's something like that, then of course it could torpedo all the way to the bottom. Anything can happen. Or if Oda has to rush everything. If he ends One Piece in 10 chapters, of course it'd be at the bottom. But as it is right now, I think it's on a healthy pace for at least top 3. And I would not be surprised if it ends up knocking off Marineford for me by the time all is said and done. And I could definitely see it knocking off Enies Lobby for me. Like, everything is there. The potential for everything is there. It's just got to come together. Yeah, the Four Emperor Saga. Oh, just split it to Wano and Whole Cake Saga? I think, the reason I have the Four Emperor Saga higher than, let's say, like East Blue or whatever is because even though I don't like a lot of Wano, right, the Four Emperor Saga composes so much of One Piece, and I like Zoe very much, like Whole Cake. Obviously, the Reverie sections, and then Wano, for better or worse, did so much for the story. Like, it's the Versus 4 Emperor saga is such a grand epic that covers so much. It's hard for me to put it behind something like East Blue. It's still below Baroque Works saga because sometimes, in my opinion, less is more. I look at the Baroque Works saga and it's a similar sort of setup, which is like we have a launching off point from Whiskey Peak where it's like, okay, we're going to go to the country of Alabasta to defeat the first Shichibukai on our journey, Crocodile, and then the entire story is building up to that island. The Versus 4 Emperor saga is similar. You just swap Alabasta for Wano, and now it's taking down Kaido, the first Yonko, instead of the first Shichibukai. But I just think that Baroque Works, every single arc hits. Drum Kingdom feels really, really good emotionally. It's tight, backstory, etc. And then Alabasta, I think, is, even though a much smaller arc than Wano, I think it executes the idea of saving a nation so much more cleanly, in my opinion. The Neon Frequency, thanks for the 5. I love how the Strides burning the world government flag takes on a new meaning. They challenged the world. Yeah. That's a good point. Rihanna's Art, thanks for the 5. Don't jinx it before we get Force Ghost Ace coming back to help Luffy beat Ibu. Yeah, you never know. Yeah. Javon Johnson says, wouldn't expect versus Yonko to be so high. Yeah, it's just, I mean, because it's not just Wano, you know? If we were to get into specific arcs, then Wano ranks a lot, like, the peak of East Blue for me is Arlong Park, and that ranks a lot higher for me than, let's say, Wano, personally. But then Versus 4 Emperors also covers so much more. Like, it's, like, if I'm being honest with East Blue, I think it's very, very simple and rudimentary storytelling, like all the way up to Arlong Park, and then Arlong Park is, for me, the shining thing that elevates East Blue. Baratier, I think, is solid. I think Baratier is a good arc. I don't think it's, like, crazy strong. I think it's good. I think Arlong Park is, like, the first time One Piece feels special to me. And then Loketown's a really good way to conclude it. But East Blue is also very short, very meandering storytelling, and a lot of the storytelling feels dated going back to read it, except for Arlong Park. Tonga Tapus's final saga is already number 3 for me after Water 7 Marineford. If I were to like rank it right now, like One Piece just ends tomorrow for some reason, I'd probably be like, it's so hard because how do you rank something that hasn't ended? Because you're ranking it kind of like based on how excited you are for future things happening a little bit. It's like, oh my god, like they all got together to fight Emu, right? But then like that feels really exciting, but then the fight with Emu could be really bad, right? We don't know yet. So it's hard to rate it. But if I were to rate it right now, I'd be like, for me, it makes my top 4, right? Just under Baroque Work Saga. Kingling Demi-Human says, the Yonko Saga is the most exciting patch of the story, but Baroque Works is better written. Yeah, that's the tricky thing, which is the Yonko Saga is, like, when it comes to just feeling excited for the next part of One Piece, right? Like, the Yonko Saga really gets you, like, especially Zoe, it just gets you hyped for the things that are to come, right? End of Whole Cake, you're excited for what's to come next. Reverie, you're really excited for Wano, right? Like, the major plot points of One Piece that really make the story so spectacular and epic and, like, unpredictable, and the whole world and lore that's coming together, that's all at its peak in Versus 4 Emperors. But I think the actual storytelling is weaker, in my opinion. K. Maya says, man, I don't feel like it's dated at all. It just feels simpler, but Baratier still hits like crazy, especially in the manga. I mean, my simple way of saying, like, dated is that if the opening chapters of One Piece, like first 20-something chapters, even first 30 chapters of One Piece came out today in Shonen Jump manga, a brand new series, the writing feels very, very basic and simplistic. That's all I gotta say. Like, it just feels like a less tightly written story. It feels simple, wandering, meandering. A lot of the dialogue feels really like ABC. Yeah, there's just I think if you compared it to, and that's not to say current series are better. I'm just saying obviously they're not better than One Piece overall. Sometimes starting simpler and then hitting a rhythm and then really building into something amazing is obviously gonna top stories that just get like interesting very quickly. But yeah, like I just look at if I compare to most modern series, like if you're to read the first 10 chapters of One Piece and then compare it to the first 10 chapters of most popular modern shonen, you would feel like, yeah, this one, I think you would say that this one feels older, simpler, more dated. And I think dated is a word that would come to mind. Stormy says Mihawk would have to hard carry the story for One Piece to make it today. He was kind of the first hype thing to happen. Yeah, and the crazy thing is that he came in 50 chapters into the story. 50 chapters. That's a long, like, that's a long time. Before that, we're dealing with Alvida, a dude who has an axe for an hand called Axe Hand Morgan. I feel like One Piece might get roasted early on. Like, it's like, who's One Piece's like early villains? A dude with an axe hand. His only ability is having an axe on his hand, and his name is Axe Hand Morgan. And the writing is very cookie cutter simple early on, which is like villains will say very generic things that can just be on their shirt, which is like status means everything, or like rank means everything. And that's basically all of Axe Hand Morgan's dialogue, which is like, my rank means everything. Rank is all that matters, yada yada. And then it's like, okay, cool. And then the next villain is Buggy the Clown. And then, you know, the theme is like, gold is treasure. And then Luffy's like, no, hat can be treasure too. How can a hat be treasure? It's not gold. That's like, that's kind of the right, like, it is very, very, like, look, we all look back very fondly on East Blue. That's why I have it as one of my favorite sagas in One Piece still. And I really like going back to early East Blue. But I'm telling you that if you were to go back, like, erase all of your knowledge of One Piece right now, and then it's just coming out as a weekly series at this moment in time, I think One Piece would get roasted for quite some time until the story began to pick up. Chris Morales says, yeah, early One Piece feels a lot like early Dragon Ball. Yeah. It's still more developed than early Dragon Ball in that early Dragon Ball felt really, really loose. I don't remember the themes or whatever, like any sort of messaging early on. One Piece at least had that. It just had that in like a sort of like Blue's Clues kind of way, which is like, what does treasure mean? I think it's money. No, it can be a hat. And then that's like a 20 chapter arc, you know? K Maya says, and Lord of the Rings probably wouldn't be published today, and yet. I think Lord of the Rings could still be published. It's just, because it's still uniquely, like, if you read Lord of the Rings, like, I still think, well, to be fair, I don't read a ton of fantasy series nowadays, right? Like, the last one that I really tried to read was, like, Game of Thrones, and I got through first book, and I thought the first book's really good. But if you read Lord of the Rings, if you give it a try, it is uniquely distinct from the writing styles that I've seen for other fantasy series that I've read, in that it really reads more like a historical text that's very dense, clearly has a ton of lore and thought put into it that you can surmise from like just the like, it feels extremely immersive right off the bat. I still think it would be good today. Bassam El Madawi, thanks for the 10. But I get your overall point, which is like, you can't critique works that came earlier for not like that served as like a groundwork or basis for future stories, you know, to be able to shape their beginnings to be a bit more snappy or get to the point a little bit. Like, you can't critique the thing that served as the foundation for all the modern day things, right? Like, it's just different. So that's why you give it some slack. I'm just saying that, like, One Piece obviously I think is better than modern day manga, right? I'm just saying that the beginning parts in particular do feel dated in comparison. The later parts are leagues ahead. So you get the good with the bad. Empty Mind, thanks for bringing a Pirate King tier member for 3 months, man. Stream idea. I was watching your old streams and think it would be a cool idea if you revisited the Biggest Mysteries one and made an updated version. Also, the thumbnails as of recently have been amazing. Yeah, check out the thumbnail artist Abood on Instagram. So all of it is his stuff is always linked in the description boxes. But yeah, he's been a great thumbnail artist, particularly because he's just a really good artist in the past. So actually, Abood, we have posters of his in the Morge store that we've sold before. Well, it was Morge store before, now it's One Dream Studio. So he was actually an artist that we worked with some years back because he already did artwork for One Piece, right? And then later on, he reached out like recently and asked if he wanted to do thumbnails. So we did try him out for some thumbnails and everything. And yeah, it's been a really good working relationship for sure. Has the list started? We'll start the list now. I feel like something is lost today, says Bassam El Madawi. And thank you for the 10, man. The simple writing is much easier to appreciate. Shu the dog didn't need 30 chapters to care about. One Piece would have much better pacing if released today, though. Yeah, simpler is better in a lot of ways. In that, like, I think Oda was much more okay with just taking his time for things in the past, whereas nowadays, even really good flashbacks Oda's always got to keep it moving. Like, it's hard to sit still for certain scenes. Like, the flow of events is always very fast and cutting a lot, you know? So it's tricky because the story got so big. The reality is that I think we've reached a point where Oda is now constrained a little bit by the medium that he works in, where it would be really, really good if One Piece could either turn into like some monthly manga series with unlimited time for Oda to put it out, or go the Hunter x Hunter route where Oda's allowed to take like extended breaks, really plan out everything, and if he allowed it, let some other people fucking draw for him. Very few people come to One Piece because they need to see Oda's art specifically. Or he could even draw the fun stuff. Let him keep drawing the fun stuff, whatever. Yeah, I think that's the main thing, which is just, it's more like the weekly medium where you get like 19 pages to tell a certain section of the story, and you always need to end it with a cliffhanger. The story's too big, and it has too many threads, and too many characters, and too much to cover. And too much planning and foresight that's required for it to be done as effectively as possible in this medium. Obviously, he's still doing a phenomenal job in the final saga. But, you know, in a magic world where One Piece could switch to... I mean, I think One Piece could ask to switch to Hunter x Hunter style. I don't know what deals he's got with Shonen Jump or whatever, but I imagine Oda's got a ton of leverage. But he doesn't want to do that. He's got so much energy, he wants to keep writing the way he does. Fatingo with a great point. Thanks for the 10, man. Domi Reversi means, sorry, I've returned home in Latin. Only giants got Domi Reversi'd in Elbaf. In God Valley, the members of the Davy clan were the ones who got Domi Reversi'd. Rox got lured to God Valley so that he would get Domi Reversi'd and killed. Oh, so you think only in someone's homeland can it happen? That's a really, really interesting idea and a really good way to nerf the ability. I think that's an awesome... If that is correct, Fatingo, that is an amazing call. It's just like, I don't know how that works. Like, I guess just magic, but that is a really, really good call. That would also explain how Harold got Domi Reversi'd. It would also allow, like, Luffy to not be Domi Reversi'd. That's an amazing point. Marco Saint, thanks a lot, man. Did you see the spoilers, Morge? I did see the spoilers, so I'm not going to say anything about it, but I guess all I can say is, like, next chapter is going to be an amazing chapter, everybody, like we thought. But it's going to be an amazing chapter. I'd say... No, I don't want to spoil anything further, but amazing 11 out of 10 stuff coming. That's all I can say. Yeah, Fatingo, that'd be amazing if that turns out to be correct. Zai says Oda's art has a personality, though. No, I like Oda's art style. I'm saying that I don't need Oda to be specifically drawing it because it's not like it's not a difficult art style to replicate. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a very technical art style. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the world who can replicate that style. I wouldn't want the story to be something in a totally different art style. I'm just saying that I don't like when I was reading Berserk and then heard that Berserk is going to be taken over after Miura's passing. It's kind of like, can anyone do his art style? Will it even feel the same? With Oda, I'm sure that somebody could draw like a lot of footage. And the really good panels, like the beautiful spreads and stuff, let him still draw that. But just like, I look through a lot of the standard panels and it is like simpler stuff, you know? Basim El Madawi, thanks for the 5. Look at Blackbeard's Mocktown panel. When was the last time Oda devoted an entire page to a single panel with one line of dialogue and negative space? I don't want to get into a whole thing of like that, but yeah, the story just has to be a lot more crammed now. He has never devoted an entire page like that to something like that again that I can think of. Roger laughed would have been a nice moment to do that, but you just got to keep up the panel space. Virgil Hawkins says it's harder than you'd think. I'm sure it is, but at the same time, as far as I know, like in animation, don't people have to do that all the time? Like animators draw different scenes, right? Animators draw different scenes. It's like people have to follow the same models, same style, all of that, right? So is that not a thing that's done constantly throughout the industry? We should move on to the main topic of our stream. This topic was a random topic because all the juicy topics are currently being saved for as the God Valley flashback continues and reaches some key points of interest. Oh, shit. I hope that didn't fuck up the camera. No, camera's still working. All right. And on the point of art, because you guys are so interested in art, because you guys are art lovers, and we want to appreciate your guys' appreciation for art. We have the Legendary Ships collection. Unfortunately, the exclusive Going Merry is out, but we've got all your other favorite ships here. All the other favorite ships that you guys know and love. We got Shanks' ship, Blackbeard's ship, Buggy's ship, Mihawk, Gold Roger. I don't need to click this to zoom in. And the Rocks Pirates. And all of the ships have their crews on them. So here you can see Rocks, Whitebeard, Shiki, Big Mom Kaido. You can see the Blackbeard Pirates all strewn across this giant raft. You got the red-haired pirates looking majestic. And you got Buggy Squad with Crocodile holding Buggy here. But all your favorite ships for your walls. This looks beautiful, all put together. My personal favorite, the Polar Tang. Even my dislike for Law cannot make me deny that the Polar Tang is my favorite design out of all of these. And you got Law and Beppo in there. But yeah, if you want any of the ships, then just go to One Dream Studio. I will pin that for you guys, so it's an easy access for you all. And if you want to get multiple ships, we've made it very, very easy. You can buy 2 and get another 2 free. So that's a kind of crazy deal if you guys want to hop on that. Yeah, I'm going to pin that for you all. It's funny because after we did the island posters, it was like that because the island posters were very, very, very popular. So the island posters were very popular. So it was kind of like, where do we go from here? And this was, I don't know. The ships I feel like are such a distinct direction that also makes for like a really good collage. And I don't think it's something that's also, we want to do art that's like unique in the One Piece fandom, because you get like, there's so many other things that you can find really cool art of. Like there's a million images of like Luffy in Gear 5, for example. But islands are unique. the idea of like collections of ship posters, that's something that you don't really see that often in One Piece, in the One Piece fandom. I think that we're the only people that have those type of collections. All right. 00 Flivens, thanks for the 2. Oda should have named Buggy Ship the Last Laugh. Buggy Ship looks really good. Do we have it up here on the walls? Yeah, we got it right here. Buggy Ship looks really good. It's got a lot of poppy colors. Marco Saint, thanks a lot. Let's do the islands in the order that Luffy visited them. I agree. Also, some rules. Should we be looking at the strongest character Luffy met or the strongest character from that island? Roger for Logtown. No, I think the stream is actually supposed to be, fuck. It's the best character. So we're choosing our favorite character. So, but either way, talking about strongest, I think let's do best character that you could call a resident of that island. All right, so best character that's a resident that you could fairly view as a resident of that island. So either being born there or whatever. Born there makes sense. Here we go. No, it doesn't. They don't have to be born there, but they should be like either born there or like a long-time resident. Okay. Favorite character, best character from every island. Yeah. Yeah. Now we're cooking. Now we're at the stream topic. It's time. That time has come. Okay, hold on. No, it's all good, Marcus Saint. So Blackbeard isn't an option for Mocktown. No. In fact, I don't know who would be. I guess Cricket. Because otherwise we're just doing best character from every arc, right? And that's not really what we're trying to do. So let's just do the list first. Okay, we got Goa Kingdom. We're gonna do places that the Straw Hats have been, but also we can mix in some other places, like because we can throw in Ohara even though Luffy's never been there. You know, all the East Blue Islands will just be the Straw Hats. Let's say no Straw Hats. Let's say rules, no Straw Hats. Rules, no Straw Hats. How come this didn't give me a bullet point? Give me a bullet point. Come on, man. All right. Oh, fuck. All right. I want everything underneath this. Yeah, whatever. You know what? Whatever. Ah, there we go. Okay. No Straw Hats. Must either be born there or a permanent resident. Must either be born there or a permanent resident. Let's start with those rules and then we go from there. Goa Kingdom. Okay, hold on. Let me list out the things. Goa Kingdom. I don't think, was Ace born at Goa Kingdom? I don't think Ace was born at Goa Kingdom. Was Ace born at Goa Kingdom? I guess he's a resident. Yeah, permanent resident makes sense. Let's get the stream likes up to man, I fucking hate this new. Yeah, let's get the stream likes up to 100 real quick cuz we're right there. All right. Goa. I want to skip some islands. I'm not going to lie. I want to skip some islands. Because it's just like East Blue's so boring at that point then. Right? Because Baratier, what are we going to say? Fucking Zeph, right? It's true. Okay. All right. We're going to skip some islands. All right? We can... Sarah Village... I guess let's skip it. Well, no. You know what? It's kind of fun. I don't want to skip any of them. I changed my mind. Orangetown. Shells Town. It's technically Helmet Bow, right? That's the only option. Okay. Syrup Village, Loketown. Baratier is not an island. I forget what Nami's island chain is called, but we'll just call it Kokoyashi Village. Loketown. I'm gonna skip fucking Reverse Mountain. Whiskey Peak. No, Little Garden's fucking stupid because nobody differentiates between Dory and Brogy. They're the same fucking person, right? Drum Kingdom, Alabasta, Jaya, Skypiea. Yeah, that's where it gets more interesting. Once islands have like more than just like two named characters, three named characters, you know? Jaya, Skypiea. We're gonna skip Long Ring. Skipping Long Ring because there's only fucking the horse and what's his name? Fuck, I don't even remember the guy's name. Toto. Anyway, is his name Toto? Is it Tonoyasu? All right. Tanjit. All right, there we go. We got Skypiea. Thriller. Water 7. Sorry. Water 7. Thriller Bark, I guess. Saboti. Yeah, Saboti. Fishman. I kind of want to do, yeah, Amazon Lily. Fishman Island. Punk Hazard. Dressrosa. Should we say no villains? How about no villains? Because otherwise we're just going to pick like Doflamingo or some shit. Although, yeah, Doflamingo or something. Dressrosa, Zoe, Whole Cake. I'd say Toddleland. Let's say Toddleland in general. Toddleland, Wano, Egghead. There's only like Vegapunk, right? So we skip that. Elbaf. Yeah, let's just do this for now. Zerzor Flivens, thanks for the 5. A ship can be an island and vice versa. Have you not read Thriller Bark or Water 7? But Thriller Bark is an island that's just moved around by a ship, you know? And Water 7 isn't actually a float, like they're trying to make it into a floating island or something, but right now it is an actual island, you know? Marco Saint says villains allowed but not main arc villain. Yeah, let's do that. Villains allowed but not main arc villain. No, I'm gonna say no villains. Cause, okay, let's do villains or no villains. Basim Al-Badawi says Saboti is an island. Sorry, I had to. I'm okay with removing Saboti. No, I mean that's dumb. It's an archipelago. It's the same thing. It's close enough. Bro put an elephant on the list. Fuck. Okay, fine. We'll put Baratier. We could put Baratier. Baratier is not even like an. The other places are at least pretending to be an island, right? Like Zoe is like officially viewed as an island, right? Baratier is just a restaurant. You know what I mean? Like it's not even like no one even refers to it as an island in the story. Omarua, thanks for the 2. Island the character was introduced or place of birth? I'd say born there or permanent resident, right? That should cover most. Barati is just a restaurant. I'm not counting that. Like, because then we have to count all fucking establishments in One Piece. The island is Onzo. That's true. That's the idea. The island is Onzo. Yeah, let's do are villains allowed? I kind of want to lean more towards the island residents than the villains, because like otherwise then it's just like it can become too easy. Then it's just like we get to Dressrosa, we go Doflamingo. We get to Wano, we do Kaido. You know, like a lot of these just become, I don't know. Like we go to Alabasta, we say Crocodile. You know, it's not the case for all of them, but some of them it just becomes kind of straightforward. Chinwalabachi says some villains don't live there. Yeah, but like I would call Kaido like a permanent villain of Wano. You know what? No, I'm doing an executive decision. No villains. No villains. Executive decision. Yeah, no villains. It makes it too easy. Because a lot of the islands that have the most variety of interesting characters, like an Alabasta, like a Dressrosa, like a Wano, those are also storylines where it can be open and shut if you just go with the villain, you know? Bubble Bass says, ain't nobody picking Kaido. I mean, who else is the best? I guess Momonosuke is the best character from Wano. Odin is a great character from Wano. Okay. I still think that there's a good shot that, you know, some of these become too easy. All right, Goa Kingdom. I'm going to say... Hold on. Goa Kingdom... This is actually a very difficult one. Because you got... Okay, pick. Okay. Garp, Ace, Sabo. Right? This is very difficult. I feel like Sabo's just going to win. Or Ace. I'd take Garp in a heartbeat, but you know what I mean. Oh, solid. Oh, wait. I guess my chat just naturally wouldn't have that many Sabo fans. Marco Saint, thanks a lot. Bro, you're going to regret no villains when you get to Whole Cake Kek. Katakuruya don't count as a villain. Ah, fuck. How do we do Whole Cake? Katakuri's an antagonist. I don't count him as a... How about no main arc villains then? That's what somebody else suggested. No main arc villains. No main arc villains. All right. Good call there. Good call. Oh, shit. We got to put in Dada. You guys aren't going to vote for Dadan. You're not going to vote for Dadan over fucking... That's so stupid. There have been like 18 One Piece popularity polls. You know how many Ace and Sabo end up in the top 5 for or top 10 for? Like half of them. You know how many Dadan shows up in like the top 54? None of them. I'm not going to fucking put options just for the sake of putting options. You guys aren't going to fucking vote Dadan. Maybe 4 if you will. Zerzer Flevans, thanks for the 2. List every individual Tato Island we were on. No. That's funny though. All right. I'm not putting Dada just to put Dada. What the fuck? All right. We got Garp for Garp there. Shellstown, I'm not even going to bother. It's just Helmepo, right? We all like it's either Helmepo or fucking Axan Morgan. Oh no, there's the girl. What's the girl's name? Rika? Yeah. Here. Yeah. Here we go. Dot on agenda. Okay. All right. Shellstown. Rika Helmepo. Marco Sates is that girl who fed Zoro. Oh man, you guys dislike Helmepo that much? Come on. Oh my god. You guys got Rika over Rika is in like 2 chapters. Helmepo is like Kobe's Sengoku. What the fuck? Helmepo had a whole cover story where he had character growth and like he saved like what the fuck? He like became independent, split off from his father. He defended Kobe. He fucking learned Rokoshiki. Red Frog says, I like Helmepo, but not that arc. No, it's not about from the arc. It's from the island. You know, it's not... Hold on. How much you like the character in general, not just from the arc. Helmepo's Kobe Sengoku, LMAO? Yeah, he's Kobe Sengoku. I love that people get really upset when I refer to Sengoku as Garp's Helmepo, and they act like that's definitely not the case. But God Valley is where we're finally getting context on like the Garp Sengoku dynamic. Read through God Valley. Sengoku is, or the Rocks flashback. Read through the Rocks flashback. Sengoku is never portrayed as Garp's equal or his partner or something like that. Sengoku is clearly established to be like this like the friend of Garp's, who's clearly several steps behind him in terms of stature and significance as a Marine, right? Who does probably catch up later down the line, right? And they're friends, and they clearly are closest to each other among the Marines, but like it's very much like a Batman and like I don't know, not even like the good Robin. Let's say like not Dick Grayson. Maybe like what, Tim Drake or some shit. I don't know. I think that's an accurate, like, if you just look at, like, read through the Rocks flashback, everything so far has seemed to portray Sengoku as basically like the Helma Po to Garp's Kobe. And, Sengoku later on probably becomes a good amount stronger. Like, Helma Po will probably become a lot stronger later down the line. He doesn't have Kobe's growth rate. But in terms of dynamic, it's the same thing. Like, it's his buddy in the Marines that's nowhere near as strong or as important. But it's his buddy in the Marines, Kyle Flanagan thinks so too. I like Helmeppo, but Rika's just more likable. This really hurts. This sucks because I'm actually a Helmeppo fan. So people don't understand. When I compare Sengoku to Helmeppo, it's not even a big insult. It's just like, it's just, I don't know. Like, all I'll say too is if we look at this, like, what chapters? No, it's probably my bad. Where do we see Sengoku? Yeah, tell me. Tell me this isn't like Helmet Bo vibes. This is like Garp's the one that's got like, Garp's the hero of the Marines, and Sengoku's like his little brother, you know? And he'll become a big deal later, but not right now. All right, I guess gotta put Rika. All right. All right, here we go. Orangetown. It's really just between Mare, Dog. You got, what's his name? Boodle? Orangetown. Mare name. Yeah, Boodle or Choo Choo. The dog, Cho. I've seen Choo Choo, Shoo Shoo, Cho. I've seen so many different things. Yeah, obviously Cho is going to win. All right. Cho. Okay, here we go. Syrup Village. We got Kaya. We got Mary. We got one of the three kids. Can do. If you vote for one of the three kids from Usopp's Pirate Crew, we'll do a follow-up vote so we can decide which of the kids is best. You have beef with Chocho? I've lost multiple people I've been trying to get into One Piece at Chocho. I just have. It's happened. Django? But Django's not a permanent resident. Does Django go to live there? Guys, read the rules. Read the rules. Do I need to make the rules red or something? Rules. I'll make the rules bigger. All right, looks like Kai's taking it. Yeah, Kai's yeah, I like that. All right. Zero Flivens, thanks for the 5. God Steel versus Woot Steel versus Drunken Iron Ore versus Wapol Metal. Wapol Metal. More just friend dropping One Piece because of Chocho always kills me, lol. It was he eventually got back into it. He's told me the story of how he got back into it. It's the funniest thing. He was, it wasn't through me. He was on a trip somewhere else, and then one of his friends on that trip was watching One Piece on his phone or laptop or something. And the friend was watching the Dressrosa episode where Fujitora lifts all the rubble on the island into the air using gravity or whatever. So my friend's watching that, and he's like, "What's this?" And then the other guy explains that it's One Piece. And then my friend is like, mind blown. He's like, "Wait, One Piece?" Because like, if you only see the early stuff of One Piece, it makes no sense that it gets to that crazy island level super powerful abilities and stuff. So then he was like, "Okay, maybe I'll go try it again." But he skipped a shit ton. He skipped straight to I think he skipped to Alabasta, or I think he skipped to Alabasta from what I remember. So like pretty much all of East Blue skipped. Drum Kingdom, all of that. He skipped all of that to Alabasta, but I didn't push too hard because I was kind of like, I don't want to fuck with this or anything. So this was in college. It would have been senior year of college, and like he was one of my 3 roommates. All of them thought anime was stupid, but he was the only one that kind of got like kind of hooked back in because he was watching. He had already started an anime kick because he started with Death Note a little bit, and I don't want to fuck with that. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like prod him or anything to try One Piece. And then independently, like because I tried to get him to try One Piece first, right? He thought it was stupid, and Chocho was the thing that dropped him, right? So then fast forward later, then he's trying anime of his own volition. He liked Death Note. And then he saw the Fujitora thing later, and so then that got him to try One Piece without me prodding. So I'm seeing him watch Alabasta. I'm like, I don't want to like overload anything, you know? And then so I'm not trying to like tell him to like, hey, you have to go back and rewatch that shit that you thought was really boring. It's like, this is better than nothing, okay? And then after that, he's a Skypiea skipper, so skips Jaya, Skypiea, etc., because he's just looking up online what are the best arcs, because he's watching it in a very casual way. So then the next thing he's skipping to is Water 7 and East Lobby. So I'm just like, all right, well, this is good. And then he likes that shit. And he's just asking me at that point where to go next. So I basically tell him, like, because he's watching in a casual way, right? So I'm basically telling him, okay, if you like that, I tell him to skip Thriller Bark, but I make him watch the Kuma scene. So I tell him to skip Thriller Bark because I know I'm reading the room here. Like, he's enjoying it, but not like anything could drop him. So I'm like, I just got to get him to like Sabaody and Marineford, and then we're good, right? And I made the right call. I showed him the Kuma scene, good. Gave him a little summary of what happens in Thriller Bark, and I just put him on to Sabaody and Marineford, and then after that he became a One Piece fan. So it's just like it's just the way it goes. Sammy says friend is cringe as fuck. No, he's a big One Piece fan now. And you know what's funny? Those things like episode of Skypiea are helpful for people who skip things and then want to go back and find out. So, you know. But you guys got to remember, like, a lot of people are fans of series on like on a more casual level. Marcus Saint says, so my opinion is let people just enjoy what they want as they want. Yeah, like you gotta understand, like, I mean, I'm even, like, we feel upset about hearing stuff like that because we're big One Piece fans. But, like, consider a series, so I don't care about My Hero that much, okay? But I know My Hero's final season is coming out. I don't care about the series enough to be like, I need to go watch season 7, which I think I skipped. I kind of just want to see what happens. I'm probably just going to skip to the final season. Okay, and if you're like a diehard My Hero fan, then you might be like, that's cringe as fuck. But it's like, no, you got to understand my level of interest in this. It's not that big. Like, it's kind of a miracle that I even feel like watching it whatsoever. And then maybe if I really like it, then maybe I like it enough to go back and watch some earlier stuff. But, you know. TomTom says, bro, casual doesn't mean skipping half the show. I mean, at this point, he's the only things that he hasn't seen are basically, he's seen episode of Skypiea. So then the only things he hasn't really seen are Thriller Bark, which he, funnily enough, refers to. I find this funny as fuck. He's like, yeah, the only thing I haven't seen is the Halloween arc. Like, why do you call it the Halloween arc? The Halloween arc. And then I know he's gone back and reread East Blue. So, yeah, I think Thriller Bark is the only missing piece in his knowledge. the Halloween arc. And I think it does say something that you can essentially skip pretty much all of Thriller Bark, and then your knowledge is pretty much the same as anybody else, as long as you see the Kuma scene, you know? Abraham says, My Hero Academia is dog shit anyway, who cares? See, that's exactly the point, which is like, your guys' feelings about like, this aren't logic-based, it's more so like, we love One Piece, how dare someone skip it? But then, as soon as you apply that logic to some other series, it's like, well, I don't even like that series, so like, obviously it's okay to skip parts of that. It's like, you guys gotta understand, different people have different levels of enjoyment. Not everybody's gonna love One Piece the way that you do, so some people will just want to engage with it in, you know, a manner that's like a little bit more at a distance, and then they try a little bit of it. I know several people now, because now that my friend group here in the city that I've been in for the last several years is there's a lot of anime fans. You would not believe the number of people I know who have gotten deep into One Piece and then stop at a certain arc. And it's never even because they don't like it. It's just because, like, maybe they fall off or, like, they pause it for a while. But I know a lot of people who didn't get past, like, to the post-time skip or something. Or people who watch it in, like, batches and then they, like, put it on hold for a while and then go back, etc. Anyway. JWP says, yeah, that's kind of stupid. I would literally never just skip any part of the series. So, like, I told you guys I was, like, a skipper of, like, this is a thing that people do. I don't think, like, this is that rare, which is, I didn't read Naruto for a long period of time. Like, I watched part 1, skipped a lot of, or watched part 1, then fell off the series. And then, like, but on the site that I would read manga on, which is Manga Reader, like, chapters just are coming out, and like Naruto used to release the same day as One Piece and Bleach, and so it was just one random day that I read my One Piece chapter, read my Bleach chapter, and I just felt like checking in on what happened in Naruto, like, because I'd kind of dropped the series, but just out of curiosity, just felt like checking in, because I had no attachment to the story at that point. Like, for me, it was just a series that I basically dropped, but it was just out of curiosity. It was like, I don't care about this at all anymore. I'm not going to read this story. I'm just curious about, like, let me just check in on what happens. But I opened the chapter, and it was literally Naruto arriving at Konoha, like a destroyed Konoha, to fight Pain. And that after that, it was like, oh shit, this is a big deal. So then that was enough that I would tune in for the next week's chapters, basically, just out of curiosity to see, like, okay, I do want to see what happens now, because I'm like, whoa, Naruto's so different. You guys got to understand, like, I wasn't so interested that I was like, oh my god, my whole mind on Naruto has changed. I need to go back to read, like, the 300 chapter or, like, 200 chapters or whatever since the end of part 1 to this fight. I have to do that, right? It was literally, like, the most casual, bare minimum level of interest, which is like, oh, a fight's happening. I'm curious, let me see where this goes. And then I read the next chapters or whatever. And then that's it. Then I kind of got back in tune with Naruto again for some period of time. Yeah, it's just like it's a series that I cared so little about, but like when the plot seemed interesting, I was like, okay, let me kind of keep up with it, but not to a degree that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna dump like 20 hours of my time or whatever, 10 hours, God knows how long, to like read a bunch of other shit that I don't really care that much about. Similar thing I did with Jujutsu Kaisen, right? With Jujutsu Kaisen, mild spoilers. I feel like everybody knows at this point, but I don't want to spoil everybody. I'm going to put up a finger for as long as I'm holding... No, I'll put up 2 fingers. For as long as I'm holding up 2 fingers, I'm talking about Jujutsu Kaisen spoilers, okay? With Jujutsu Kaisen, I had kind of fallen off of the manga, but then once I've heard that Gojo versus Sukuna's going on, I, like many other people, tuned in just to read that fight, because a lot of people didn't care about all the things happening before that. Tuned in to read that fight, read that fight. I don't think reading the previous stuff would have changed my opinions that much about that fight. I wouldn't suddenly be like, oh my god, the ending of this fight is genius based on the Culling Games arc that I missed. Okay, read the fight. It's like, okay, fight's done with. It was fun to read in real time. And yeah, now go back to not reading Jujutsu Kaisen. That's basically it. I don't know why it's bizarre to people to think that like you can find a series like mildly interesting enough to like check in episodically or periodically to see what's going on, or like see some parts of it and enjoy it, without being like, I need to read or experience every single second of this. Because it's like, well, if you don't, then you're not a true fan. It's like, cool, I'm not a true fan of Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm not a true fan of Naruto, you know? But I don't know why that's like a strange concept to wrap your head around. Like, how could you ever watch something without having seen every second of it prior? It's like, that's really normal. A lot of people do that. That's like a freak. That's a thing a lot of people do. Anyway, continuing on. Kokoyashi Village. Oh, also, let's check this real quick. Let's get the stream likes up to 150 real quick. Let's get the stream likes up to 150. That's not my preferred way to watch series, by the way. I'm just saying that, like, I feel like everybody has done that at some point or another. I find it hard to believe that everybody has watched everything ever chronologically. How'd you watch kids' cartoons when you were young? Like, how'd you watch, like, Ben 10 or, like, Avatar? There's no way you were able to catch, like, every episode, you know? Sometimes you miss some stuff. I did watch every Avatar episode over time, but like, you know, it's airing weekly and it's before streaming or whatever. So sometimes you might not have seen a certain episode or something. That shit happens too, you know. Egghead's missing because the only character is Vegapunk 6 times. Oh, whoops! I'm sorry, Marco saying I missed one of your chats. Hold on. My bad, man. Off on too long of a rant. My bad, Marco Saint. Marco Saint, thanks a lot. Watch Garp and Sengoku working in the shadows on an agenda to ultimately rid the Marines of the Celestial Dragons. This will wrap back to Marineford and why Garp was so conflicted. I would love to see some fallout. I'm not going to try and bank too much on, like, Garp and Sengoku need to have done this or that post-God Valley for them to be redeemable characters, but I would love to see some stuff from them. Like, if they created Sword, that's like my bar for like, okay, heart's in the right place, they're trying to do the right thing. Yeah, that's my bar for it. Anything more than that, amazing. Anything less, it's fine. Like, I don't actually expect Garp to have created Sword necessarily. Like, it's not like you have to have created Sword or you're a bad guy. But I do need to see what his thoughts and how this affects his philosophy, and I need to see him grapple to some degree with what it means for him to be a Marine doing this, you know? Anyway, all right, continuing on. All right, we're going to do a poll for Kokoyashi Village. Kokoyashi Village. And it's pretty much just, let's just go down the line. Don't think there's anybody else of note here. This is tight because I do like a lot of. Man, we got no votes for Nojiko almost. I like Nojiko as a character. I think she's a good character. All right, we're going with Bellemere. I like Gen. After this, you know what? I'll do my favorite character from each arc after this. Loketown. We got pretty much just... it's a narrow group, right? Ippon Matsu. Roger. Smoker. Tashigi. I consider Smoker and Tashigi to be long-time pretty much permanent residents, or they were permanent residents for an extended period of time. This is tight. I might run this again with just Roger and Smoker. I don't think Dragon is born there, right? As far as we know. Dragon just visited there once. Here, let's do it again. Loketown. Roger, Smoker. Oh, I put Gen instead of Bellemere. My bad. My subconscious. I guess I like Bellemere better. I don't know. Bellemere's story is obviously like the emotional center of the arc, but I like Gen as a character a lot. I feel like we just got more time with Gen, and I got to see him go through more. And I like his final scene with telling Luffy that he's always got to make sure Nami stays happy. Okay, looks like Roger's taking it this time. It's nice to see this much Smoker support in this day and age, though. Still love him as a character. I think I do like Roger as a character a lot, though, too. I need to see more of him at God Valley. All right, Whiskey Peak. I don't know how we do Whiskey Peak, though, because, like, Whiskey Peak, who even counts as a permanent... I'm taking Whiskey Peak off. I'm removing Whiskey Peak. I don't know how to... Because, like, what's a permanent resident there? Is it just Mr. 9 and Miss Monday? I think I'm removing it. It's off. It's off the list. All right, Drum Kingdom. All right, we got Drum Kingdom. I think it's just Kureha and Dalton, right? Yeah, Kureha has a great character. Yeah. Okay. Alabasta. Can I say something controversial? I know Vivi is technically a Straw Hat. I know she's technically a Straw Hat, right? Like, we count her among the Straw Hats. I don't view Vivi as a true Straw Hat, though. I just don't. Like, I get that she technically counts as a Straw Hat, but I view her as, like, the technical Straw Hat. I just don't view her as a real Straw Hat. Like, when I imagine the Straw Hat Pirates, I don't think of Vivi right away. Like, I don't think of Vivi as the group. When I imagine the group, I don't think of Vivi. I think most people are like that. Like, when we talk about the Straw Hats in any sort of grouping or whatever, nobody brings up Vivi. Vivi's only ever brought up by people when it's like, actually Vivi, like, she's the actually Straw Hat. She's the actually Straw Hat. It's like, actually the Straw Hats have X member, like 10 members because Vivi's here. Or like, actually Vivi's also Straw Hat. Or actually, don't forget, Vivi's a Straw Hat. I love the character. I really like the character. I don't view her as a Straw Hat any more than, like, Momonosuke's a Straw Hat. Like, I don't know what makes her a Straw Hat more than any of the other side characters that the Straw Hats have really spent a lot of time with or bonded with. I feel like she was called a Straw Hat just because Oda spent so long building up to her seemingly joining the crew, and because I think Vivi is set to play a big role in the plot of the story, and it will feel like we've got a Straw Hat on the government side, basically, like doing political stuff, basically, like, but I don't know. I just don't like. I feel like, and I feel like it's such a. I feel like I get in trouble even saying, "Oh, Hero Look." I forgot about Hero Look. My bad. I forgot about Hero Look. I gotta put Hero. We're gonna run the poll for Drum Kingdom again, but I feel bad even saying that take, which is like, I wish we could just like. I wish I could just say I really like Vivi as a character, but I don't think of her as a Straw Hat because I think most people don't think of Vivi when they think of the Straw Hats. When it's like, when you list all the Straw Hats or think of all the Straw Hats or like look at any groupings of the Straw Hats, look at any spreads, like I don't think Vivi's in people's minds. She just comes up when people are like trying to make a point that there is an additional Straw Hat that we're all forgetting or something like that. It's like, I just don't view it like that personally. And I don't see anything different about her that makes her more of a Straw Hat than like fucking Trafalgar Law or like Momonosuke, you know? That's my only thought. I think that it's important. I do think it's just important that Oda made her a Straw Hat because I think Oda wanted a Straw Hat that's like involved in the world and political side of things for later down the line in the story. But I don't get why she couldn't just be like an important ally that they have. I don't know. JWP, thanks for the 5. Vivi being counted as a Straw Hat made sense for a while before we went 800 chapters without her and had 5 more Vivis. Yeah, it felt very fitting at the time. But now I just think of like the Straw Hat crew and everything that they've been through and like the entire journey and all of that stuff. And Vivi was there for like a blip period of it. And there's other characters that have done the same with them for longer periods of time. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know why she doesn't get to be the only honorary Straw Hat. Trigon says Morge is the friend that skipped arcs. I like Vivi a lot as a character. I just don't get why she's the only one that we count as an honorary Straw Hat. I'm like, why isn't there's so many other characters? Like, why wasn't Momonosuke made an honorary Straw Hat? Why wasn't like they could fucking make Law an honorary Straw Hat, and Law would be like, I'm not a Straw Hat. They'll be like, yeah, but we count you as a Straw Hat. I don't know. It makes me sound like a Vivi hater, but I guess it's just more so in my mind, like, the Straw Hats are like this special bubble that really travels everywhere together, does everything together, like, is always on all the like, all the little things, like, all the color spreads, all of that stuff, like, when Oda Oda doesn't even fucking count it often, like, in all the SBSs and stuff, when it's like, what's every Straw Hat's, like, favorite color, or, like, what this or that or something, then he just lists the Straw Hats on the crew. He doesn't really list Vivi, usually. Maybe I'm wrong about that, though. Maybe I'm misremembering. But I think that's generally the case. Anyway. So the reason I say that about Vivi is because I don't know if we're going to count her as a character from the island or not, you know? Okay, Drum Kingdom. Drum Kingdom. We got Hirolook, Kureha, and Dalton. I think Vivi sometimes has been listed in the SBS things with the rest of the crew, but then other times not. He did for Vivi for all of those? I don't think he does it for Vivi for all of those. Okay, Maya says the Straw Hats only got upset about leaving Vivi. I don't recall them giving a second thought about any of the others. That's true. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And I would also add that it feels like Vivi ingrained herself more in the Straw Hat culture than anybody else. Like, Law didn't, right? Like, Kinemon and Momonosuke very much acted like they are passengers. But Vivi did sort of ingrain herself more in those things. I also think another point of difference is that Kinemon and Momonosuke, they kind of remained separate from the Straw Hats when it came to the plot lines of the arcs that they were involved in. Like, Vivi in Little Garden, right? Like, she's actively part of the plot going on there. Like, she's with them for everything. She's in the cake or whatever, the candle statue. she's having character stuff done along side by side with them, and important moments, like very important character moments, like her saying to Zora that like I'm also gonna try and free myself. That was a big moment. Drum Kingdom, she's involved in the plot and everything. She bonds with Dalton, all of that. I feel like she's more, she flowed more into the events of the arc. Whereas like if you look at Dressrosa, Kinemon, Momonosuke, Kanjuro, that's kind of like their own separate thing for the arc. And then beyond that, Kinemon and Kanjuro are kind of like around, but not really. They're just bystanders. For like they're just vaguely around for most of the arc, right? They have some plot help, like Kanjuro helps draw that thing, but not really. And Momonosuke is shipped off to like a whole other island. And then even in Zou, you know, like they're separated again with the Straw Hats going to Whole Cake, not really bringing. So I do feel that like Vivi felt like more of a Straw Hat than other characters. Like it felt like she became more of a part of their journeys. So I can see why Vivi feels like the exception in that regard. But I just don't automatically think of her as one of the Straw Hats. When I think of the number of Straw Hats, like she just doesn't pop in my head. You know? Anyway. All right, Hero Look takes that. All right, Alabasta. Fine. Do we count Vivi for Alabasta or not? My view of it is basically like Vivi is for me basically just like my favorite island-based character that we've ever had, I guess except for Wiper. But like to me, Vivi seems like when you look at the traditional Straw Hat storyline of like they arrive at an island, they bond with some character or characters there, and then they strive to save the island for that person. For me, Vivi represents like the pinnacle of that type of like writing, that type of storyline writing, and like what that character is supposed to represent. To me, Vivi's just the peak of that, but I don't think of her as a Straw Hat herself or organically. To me, she represents a different role in storytelling. All right, we're going to count Vivi for Alabasta, and then that means that Vivi's probably going to just win this poll. Vivi, Koza. Oh, Cobra's a great character for Alabasta, too. I think Cobra is still my favorite king. Harold came up on him pretty fast. But then Harold I've been disappointed with in recent chapters. I was really loving Harold's story, too. But, definitely changed my mind on him in recent chat. He needs his redemption arc. So Cobra's my favorite king figure. Yeah, Vivi just takes this easy sweep. All right, Jaya. Jaya. Okay. Jaya. We got, I feel like it's got to be Cricket, right? Cricket. Fuck, what are the fucking monkeys' names? Let's see. Sariyama lads. Let's see. Mashira and Shouju. I think the fact that I have to look these characters up suggests we already know who's going to win. Where's Eric Trelato with his weird Koza hate boner? I didn't know he hated Koza. Blackbeard. Blackbeard doesn't live on Jaya. I feel like it's got to be Cricket with an overwhelming victory. Okay. My God, some people didn't vote for Cricket. And some people actually had a preference between Mashra and Shoujo. The one that sings pissed me the fuck off. Because, like, he showed up, and I swear he said some shit like, they're considering me to be the next Shichibukai. And I was like, that's BS. And then he started singing, which fucked up the ship. And I don't know. I just don't like characters that are annoying and have, like, an annoying ability and then the heroes had to run from him. That's what I vaguely remember. Okay. Baratie had such good characters, but we all know it's just gonna be fucking Zeph, so what's even the point? It's not an island, it's a restaurant. So it doesn't even make sense to put it here. Because if we put Baratie, then we might as well put every fucking establishment that the Strats have ever set foot into, right? If we're putting that restaurant in, then why don't we put in like rain-based casinos from Crocodile? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Baratie is just a restaurant. 2, why would we take up space with Baratie when we already know that Zeph's gonna win? You can be like, oh, it has so many great characters, but it's just fucking Zeph and Patty. It's just Zeph and Patty, and no one's gonna fucking vote Patty over Zeph. Maybe 2 people will or some shit. And you could be like, well, why do we include any islands then when there's going to be an obvious winner? It's like, no, it's a combination of the fact that 1, it needs to be an island, which Baratie isn't, and 2, it's a pointless thing to include even as an exception because the winner is so obvious. It's both things, you see? Bellamy doesn't count for Jaya. I don't think Bellamy was born there or a permanent resident. He's just coming through. I'm saying, thanks for the 5. Do you think we'll get an arc of all the factions? Strat, Red Pirates, Cross Guild, Akainu's Fleet, and Revolutionaries all racing the Laughdale? That is a great question because that is what I personally believe right now the finale of One Piece might be heading towards. I used to think it would be a big war that takes place at Marijua. Now I think it might be a situation where they're all racing towards a certain island, kind of like Stampede. And a big, big, big thing that encourages that possibility as well is, so without going too much into it, the one group that would reasonably be stationary, right, that wouldn't necessarily engage in a race would be Emu, the Celestial Dragons and stuff, right? They're ruling from the top of the world, right? Maybe they would send the Marines somewhere or something, right? So you could imagine pirates chasing after, like, the Strats trying to get to Laughdale, the Blackbeard pirates trying to get to Laughdale, maybe Cross Guild trying to get to Laughdale, right? You can imagine all these groups trying to get to Laughdale, but it's like, can you imagine Emu, like, sailing on a ship over to get... I mean, you could, but it doesn't feel right. But now that teleportation has been established to be a thing, and we have the full scope of it, which is like, all it takes is one person from the Celestial Dragons faction to get over there, and then they can make the pentagram, and then they can summon over all the they can summon over other God's Knights, they can summon over Gorosei can summon Emu can summon himself. Like, now it's just like, okay, wherever the final battle happens, all of the Celestial Dragons forces can appear there like that, right? So that suggests to me that the story is very easily set up for fast travel for the enemies, right? So that very easily suggests also that the final battle does not need to be at Marijua. So I think that's a really, really big plot point that opens the door more decisively towards a different type of climax than a lot of people had in mind for a long time. Amarwa, thanks for the 2. Think logic should Onigashima and Greenbit. By that logic, should Onigashima and Greenbit count? No, I don't care. Wano looks like a conglomeration of islands, so Onigashima is just part of it, okay? Greenbit, we're including it with Dressrosa. We're just going to do it, all right? We're just going to do that. If people really want to count Reverse Mountain, we can do Crocus versus... I think Reverse Mountain has a better argument. Fine. Reverse Mountain, Crocus, Laboon. Here, let's put in Reverse Mountain. I'm actually very curious who wins this one, because I find them both... my favorite... Who wants to guess my favorite animal character in One Piece that's not like a sentient animal? No, not sentient is the wrong word. They're all sentient. That's not a character with humanoid intelligence. That's not an animal with humanoid intelligence. This is actually a great tier list idea. One Piece best animals. I think that's a great tier list idea. I'll do that later. Guess my favorite animal. Omarwa says I was trolling Morge. Well, I was trolled. All right, looks like Crocus is taking it over Laboon. I would also vote for Crocus over Laboon. That one comedy bit that Crocus has at the beginning is absolute gold. One of my favorite character introductions of all time. Oh, the camel. That's actually really that I forgot about the camel. No, Francisco Silva got it. It is Carew. It is Carew, but the camel is actually a very close second. I might like the camel better than Carew. Okay, we'll save this for an animals tier list. We'll save this for an animals tier list. Lashes, yeah. What was the crab's name? I just love the camel gag. It's so blunt. It's just like, yeah, I'll carry you across the desert, but I don't carry dudes. I only carry girls. I love that, and then I love that the camel's gag leads into them getting the crab, but because the crab is the camel's friend, the crab is also perverted. Carew is a great animal, yeah. Yeah, and Gonfal's horse Pierre, also a great animal. Yeah, we might have to do that down the line. Okay, that'll be another tier list. The sexual harassing crab, yeah. Okay, Skypea, what a treasure trove of side characters. What's his fucking name? I'm gonna start with this group. I'm gonna assume that Pagaya doesn't. I'm gonna assume Pagaya doesn't make it. All right, we're gonna go with Wiper because my guess is nobody else is gonna beat Wiper. Southbird, great character, but we're not gonna put him in. I don't think he makes the cut here. Okay, we got Wiper. Then Water 7, who we got? Oh, okay. I'll do Wiper versus Gadatsu. Okay. All right, good. We still got Wiper, but I felt like it was fair to include Gadatsu. Wiper is my favorite island character. All right. Water 7. Difficult. I think Water 7 is an even better treasure trove of great side characters. Skypea has Wiper, but I didn't really care for the other side characters there, like Konus, the other Shandians, etc. Water 7, I think Oda was just on his game with, like, between the Frankie family and Galila, he constructed, like, a cast of side characters that they were never too obtrusive, but they all had, like, something about them that, like, felt a little fun or memorable, you know? And they really weren't that obtrusive. I think that's what I really liked about the whole group. All right, so Water 7. All right, we got Iceberg, Polly, Iceberg, Polly. Is it worth putting in Tilestone? I'll do Zambia. I think those are the main ones. Because, like, I don't want to put, like, Kaku. Although he was there for several years. I'll put in Tilestone. The Square Girls are funny. But I think the fact that we call them the Square Girls means that maybe they don't make it. I'll just do this group. I feel like this group makes the most sense. This is the big three. Paulie was a great character. A lot of people thought Paulie would join. I'm saying, thanks for the 10. What was the purpose of that throwaway panel of Silverax getting beat down? Like, you could easily just not have that panel and save Silverax stocks. Now he's a bum for no reason. Hashtag justice for Silverax. Yeah, my question is, who's beating him up? Because some people are saying it's fucking Marco, but if it's Marco, then... Yeah, like, why is he losing to... Why not show him losing to fucking Gabon or something like that? Why show him losing to random fodder? It makes no sense. I do also lean Iceberg over Paulie. Damn, Zambia with 0 votes. I thought some people liked him. That's okay. Yeah, I would take Iceberg too. I liked Iceberg as a character quite a bit. He was just a good, calm leader figure. Kokoro, fuck. Oh, that's gonna throw a wrench at Kokoro. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. Okay, we fucked up. We fucked up. We fucked up. Okay, okay. Water 7. Okay, my bad. Tom, Kokoro. Oh, this just got very competitive. This got very competitive because we're putting in Chimney. Tom is actually my favorite character from Water 7. I fucking forgot. I actually love Tom. I think Tom might be the most underrated character in One Piece because he's got a most underrated flashback character in One Piece, I would say. Tom actually has a phenomenally compelling flashback story. It's really, really good. And I still think of, like, he is one of my favorite quotes in One Piece, which is like, I'm proud of the strength I gave that man Roger with a dawn. I don't know, like him saying like I'm proud of this with a dawn, I'm proud of that with a dawn, or I do this with a dawn or whatever. For some reason, it just like feels good. It feels very like emphatically One Piece, just like positive energy. And I really love that quote for some reason. Yeah, Tom's one of my favorite characters, like very, very underrated character in One Piece, in my opinion. I think he is the most underrated flashback character simply because the Frankie flashback, which in any other storyline would be the centerpiece, most memorable flashback, unfortunately is overshadowed by the Robin flashback that is the kind of like, it's kind of Oda's magnum opus of flashbacks in the entire story, you know? That or Kuma or something, you know? All right, so Tom's taking it. I'm sorry, I forgot Tom too. And like, I was just talking about, I'm here talking about how he's an underrated character. I fucking forgot about him. All right. Thriller Bark. We don't have a lot of options here, right? I said no main arc villains. I've kind of been excluding subordinates as well. But then when we get to fucking Whole Cake, I don't know how to... Okay, so I'll put in Perona. This feels difficult because it's just like... Okay, I'm going to amend the rule to no main arc villains unless they turn good by the end of the flashback. Unless they are redeemed by end of arc. How about that? So Perona is not going to count. Lola. There's no one else at Thriller Bark, though. So it's just Lola, right? Sindri's a zombie. No, because it shouldn't be about the arc, right? It should be about... It shouldn't be about the arc. It should be about the island. We're going to run this again. This is too rigged. Too rigged at this point. No main arc villains. So we're just going to not include any arc villains. We're doing this again. All right. Thriller Bark. So Moria's out of the equation. Perona, Hogback, Absalom, Lola. Silence's zombies are still characters. You have a dog in there. No. Zombies have their souls. Nah, it's not the same thing. They have shadows put into them. Because, like, Or's zombie is just Luffy's personality, you know? Man, so Perona just sweeps it. I don't like doing it this way, but I guess it makes sense. Okay. The fuck? Lola. So Bodhi, I'll just go ahead and put Rayleigh. I guess we can do Rayleigh versus Shaki. Sure, Shaki's gotten some more fans from this flashback. But so is Rayleigh probably too. Still hoping Rayleigh gets something good before all of this is said and done. Okay. Amazon Lily, this is I'm not even gonna bother here though. This is just Boa Hancock. There's no way anybody's voting. I mean, maybe someone votes Marguerite. Oh no, never mind. Amazon Lily's actually very tight. Amazon Lily just became very, very hotly debated. I'm not even gonna bother putting Marguerite. I think it's between the three empresses. Who's your favorite? Because these are all three pretty fleshed out characters at this point. This is a debate. I like this. I think this is my favorite poll so far. I think you got a solid argument for any of these. Me personally, I lean Shaki. If it's close enough, we'll run it back with just Shaki and Boa Hancock. Here, we're going to run this with just Shaki and Boa Hancock. Well, it does look like Hancock's winning. Hancock's taking it. Looks like Hancock's taking it. Do we want to do a poll with just... I'll try one with just Shaki and Boa Hancock. We'll give them the Empress names. Why does Shaki count here? Must be either born there or a permanent resident. She was born there, we would assume. That's her, like, country of origin. All right. It does look like the fan favorite is Boa Hancock. Oh, fuck. I should have put in Duval for Saboti. That's my bad. I'm saying said Pauly's the GOAT of Water 7. Hope he comes back. Yeah, Pauly was a really good. I think I already responded to that, but Pauly was a really good character. He was just a likable. Sometimes you just need like a likable, relatively normal human character who's experiencing all of the, the drama of the arc, And that was just Pauly. Like, he's the one who's being betrayed. He narratively just made a lot of things work in that he's kind of the Straw Hats, like, he's like the face of Galila for the Straw Hats, but he's also the one that ends up feeling betrayed. He's the one that kind of is leading the hunt for the Straw Hats first, but then it feels better when like all the teams are uniting and Pauly kind of is the leader for Galila. There's a lot, like, Pauly's just like a normal dude thrust into all of it. I like the character a lot. SMX Wing, thanks for the 10. If strongest swordsman means strongest character with a sword, as you define, then why didn't Mihawk teach Zoro conquers Saki or even bother mentioning it? Is he a bad teacher? Not knowing undercuts a lot. Means strongest character with a sword, as you define? I don't think that's how I define. I think my definition of strongest swordsman, to me, just comes down to how does the story define strongest swordsman, right? The story seems to define strongest swordsman as whoever's the best in a sword fight, right? Because we know, like, we already saw this, right? So chapter 50, 51, 52 establishes what it means to be strongest swordsman. It means winning a sword fight against Mihawk. That's it. Whoever wins that sword fight is the strongest swordsman, right? So the definition is already there for us. It's just like, how do you become strongest swordsman? You win the sword fight against the previous strongest swordsman, right? That's it. There's nothing more complicated, right? You win it in a sword fight. So why didn't Mihawk teach Zoro Conqueror's Haki or even bother mentioning it? So Zoro did know about Conqueror's Haki, actually, because when Luffy uses Conqueror's Haki at Fishman Island, Zoro comments that if Luffy didn't at least have that, then he can't be our captain, right? So Zoro did know about it. So Mihawk mentioned it at some point in the training. If Mihawk didn't train Zoro in it, then my guess is basically Zoro wasn't utilizing it he wasn't tapping into it or whatever during the training. So Mihawk's just teaching him the things that because you can apply this logic to everything, right? Why didn't Rayleigh teach Luffy about the advanced levels of Haki either? Luffy didn't know about the 2 higher levels of armament, right? Luffy didn't know about Conqueror's coding. There's nothing that Mihawk hid from Zoro that Rayleigh didn't hide from Zoro, really. It's likely that the teachers just taught them what was relevant at the time, and then you kind of got to get to the higher levels on your own, right? I think that applies to pretty much any sort of teaching. Like, if you're teaching somebody, if I go into an art class, right, and I'm terrible at drawing, so if I go into an art class, the first things that they're going to be teaching me are the basics, which is like probably perspective, perspective. I don't even know the basics, so I can't really explain it, but you get what I'm saying? Like, perspective, right? Probably some stuff with like color palettes or color combinations. They're just going to teach me the things that I need to, like, same thing for math, right? When you were taking algebra, were they telling you about diff EQ at the same time, or did they mostly just explain to you about algebra and then they got you to whatever the fuck now, the calculus, etc.? Like, you're usually learning one thing at a time. There's no need to get into like the theoretical shit because that's not relevant to you, and that's stuff that you will have to learn as you go on, right? So I don't really, to me it just makes sense. Prophet Glutton says Mihawk taught Zoro that Conqueror's Haki exists. He can't teach him Conqueror's Haki without him unlocking it first. Yeah, I don't think it's that much more complicated than that. Although Zoro had unlocked it because that is what Ashura is, but Zoro didn't even know that he'd unlocked it. So that's the tricky thing. MPA Slick, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 35 months, man. Senor Morgan Freeman, what's good? Been a while since I tuned into a live. I've been watching the VODs for a while. I hope you've been enjoying them, man. Thanks for the long time support. You're 1 month away from upgrading to the Pirate King badge. Hope everything is going well in life. Fuck Yamato. She better not win Wano. She better not win Wano? I don't know what that means, but yeah, I agree. Fuck Yamato. And everything is going really well, man. Thanks. JP, thanks for the 10. Seeing Tashigi tagging along with Sword during the raid has me worried that Oda has given up on giving her character work and is lumping her in to be the next generation Marine leaders. Oh, man. Tashigi needs something character-wise because she's the only character, she's one of the few characters that has a clearly developed long-running story arc that you can track from Loguetown to Alabasta to the end of Alabasta to Punk Hazard. Like, there is a character arc that's happening there. It just needs to land. But I think that she's important for Zoro, so I think that that'll, that will go somewhere. I think that there's something planned. The Lowman, thanks to the 5. Boa Hancock characterization with her developing as a cold leader to more compassionate after meeting Luffy is looked over. I didn't realize, maybe she's become more compassionate as a leader. I don't think I've noticed that. Maybe I should look again, but I don't know if she's become more compassionate as far as I've seen. Maybe I should read her stuff again. Let's get the stream likes up to 150 real quick because we're almost there. She better not win Wano like that. Oh, no. I actually wouldn't allow it. I would, she's not going to be on the poll. I'm not including her. I'll include her in the poll, but if it's even remotely close between her and another character, I'm vetoing her. All right, Fishman Island, here we go. All right, let's get the flashback characters in there. Uh, we also have Fukaboshi. I think that's the only other notable one that would make sense. I could include Tom here, but I'm not going to include Tom multiple times. I'm also going to put in Aladdin. I'll run the poll again. I'm also going to include Aladdin and Aladdin, Kami, those guys as well. All right, so Fisher Tiger wins this pretty concretely. I would agree. And now let's run it again with Aladdin, Hachi, Fisher Tiger, and then Kami. Did I spell Kami right? Oh, shit, I spelled it pretty bad. And then I'm going to run it again with Madame Charlie included and Papa Goog. Someone said, who the hell's voting Aladdin? But he got one vote. Seems like he's gotten one vote. Okay, Fisher Tiger's still taking it. I thought that Hachi would give some competition. People like Kami more than Hachi. Interesting. Okay, then I'm not going to bother putting Fisher Tiger against the rest. It seems like Fisher Tiger's just going to take it. And then, by the way, we're going to be doing some final polls for best island character here. No, actually, that's too much. We'll see. We'll see how we feel. Punk Hazard, there's nothing to even do here. It's not even a real island that people live in. I guess Brownbeard wins by default. I'm taking Punk Hazard off of it. It's actually a fucking hazardous wasteland that nobody is supposed to live in, hence the name. I'm saying thanks for the 5. When do you think we see Smoker again? And does he have Conqueror's Haki? I do not think Smoker has Conqueror's Haki. Yeah, I don't think Smoker has Conqueror's Haki. I think we'll see him soon in the final saga. There was that he clearly was on an important mission. So there's still some important shit that has to happen. Yeah, so if Fujitora doesn't have it, then no way Smoker will. Yeah, that's my thing with Conqueror's Haki. I feel like with Conqueror's Haki, because a lot of people get upset when I'm like, I don't think there's evidence that this character, or like, I don't think this character is a Conqueror's Haki because they lack X qualities or something. And a lot of people go into like, well, why can't they have Conqueror's Haki? Because I can find this example of this character like acting in a similar way or something like that. But to me, it's more so like with Conqueror's Haki, it's the other way around. I think you have to make the case why the character has it. Like, because with the Conqueror's Haki users that we know, who we've seen for some extended period of time, right? Like, pretty much all of them have some like really extraordinary, iconic moments of displaying really, really strong will, right? Like really, really powerful, iconic moments like that, right? So like that's why characters like Smoker, despite being obviously a brave character and a generally strong-willed character, he doesn't seem like he's gonna like it doesn't seem transcendent like he has Conqueror's Haki. Same with Fujitora, like he's got good morals, firm will, he'll argue with Akainu and stuff like that, but what's missing is kind of like, you know, the big icon, like we see Luffy's ridiculous moments of will. We see with Zoro like nothing happened, right? We see these big impactful moments from these characters that show this sort of transcendent sort of spirit. I feel like characters that don't have that, like you know, like Odin fucking boiling and stuff like that. You know, I feel like characters that don't have that, there's a clear distinction to me. So it's like, that's why I'm always like, when people are like, why can't Sabo have Conqueror's Haki? It's like, but there's nothing, he's never been written like Luffy or Ace. Like, he's never been written to have these really big, powerful, like strong willpower moments. Like, you could even see the difference between Sabo and Ace when they were written as children. And like, you know, Sabo's like, okay, we got Luffy, let's go and dip. And then Ace is instead like, he wants to stand his ground, or he's like having his big moment against Blue Jam and stuff like that. You know, like, there's just, where is the evidence that these characters would have it, you know? And I'm talking mainly about, some people are saying like even Sengoku. Kenji says even Sengoku. I'm saying characters that we've been with, like we've actually gotten storytelling for some extended period of time. Like, for example, Scopper Gaban, we know he has Conqueror's Haki, but we haven't actually spent enough time with the character to be able to see those big moments of like powerful will or anything like that, right? He's not a prominent enough character. But any character that we've spent a decent amount of time with, like a Whitebeard, a Luffy, a Zoro, Ace, like characters that have been in the story for some time, those are characters that you can clearly see, like Garp, etc., right? Like, you can see them after observing for some period of time, like, oh, this guy is obviously written like a conqueror type figure. Anyway, the Loman, thanks for the 2. What is Doflamingo's moment? Doflamingo, I would argue, like everything that he showed from the end, for the entire finale of Dressrosa was pretty fucking crazy willpower, right? The entire finale of Dressrosa against Luffy and Law. And Doflamingo, on the flip side, is also the weakest Conqueror's Haki user that we've seen, like in terms of general Conqueror's Haki output, right? I would not be surprised if like Prime Chinjao is even above him, considering Prime Chinjao apparently used to box with Garp and everything. We know how much weaker characters get with old age, so Prime Chinjao, I would not be surprised if it's a stronger Conqueror's Haki user. So Doflamingo kind of proves it in the sense that like Doflamingo, he's probably shown the tamest level of spirit out of any of the Conqueror's Haki users, and that's why he's kind of the lowest on the totem pole in terms of Conqueror's Haki, right? Flip side, someone like Rox, who the first thing he ever did was like storm the heavens by himself, challenge God straight up, and then proceed to build basically this entire empire to fight God, right? Like, that's Conqueror's. Like, Rox's first scene in the story solidifies, like, yeah, this guy's like the peak of Conqueror's Haki, you know? So I feel like it's not that complicated. I don't know why people want to like Oda's pretty consistent with the characters that he writes as being like super strong like Haki users and like having this sort of transcendent spirit, in that he writes Rox in a manner that Saba is never going to be fucking written, right? I don't know. It's just like different character types. Dressrosa. Dressrosa. Yeah, like Katakuri stabbing himself and everything like that. You know, like there a lot of like any Conqueror's Haki user that we've seen over an extended period of time has like their iconic Conqueror's Haki moment. And then you got someone like Lucci, who's like obviously a strong and brave character, but he never comes across as like a Conqueror's Haki user, you know? All right. I think Kiros, in my mind, I feel like Kiros almost feels like if there's characters that could have Conqueror's Haki, but like have not reached the point yet where they have unlocked it. Like Wiper is obviously up there. I think Kiros is up there. Just being built in that mold. All right, so we got Kiros. One thing for me with Dressrosa is that it has a lot of side characters, but I don't really like most of the Dressrosa side characters that are citizens of the island. Riku. Yeah, Kiros, easy. I think that's more so just because I think Dressrosa was... I think the island of Dressrosa, for as long as of an arc as Dressrosa was, I think the island of Dressrosa had a weak batch of side characters. Oh, yeah, let's... Well, I think Kiros will be more popular than Gyatso. All right, Zo. Here we got Pedro, Inuarashi, Nekomamushi, Carrot. And I can also throw in Wanda, Peckham's, I think those are the main ones. Wanda, Peckham's, Beppo. I can throw them in after this. Damn, what the fuck? I didn't even realize this many people like Nekomamushi that much. People really don't fuck with Inuarashi at all? I thought that Inuarashi would be more. So I always liked Nekomamushi as a character. I really liked him in Zo. I liked his personality. But that faded as the scabbards began to irritate me over time. And with Nekomamushi, I thought that people would like Inuarashi more than Nekomamushi just because Inuarashi got the more important fight at the end of the day. So I just figured that, like, once it's all said and done, people will probably prefer Inuarashi to Nekomamushi just because he got to fight the stronger opponent. But it looks like no. And Nekomamushi's actually dead even with Carrot. All right. Interesting. I would not have expected that. All right. Okay, so let me put Pedro Pedro versus Wanda, Peckham's, and Beppo. Nekomamushi Brooks song, the one that he made up. I guess all songs are made up. All right, and Pedro takes this as well, it looks like. All right. Then we got Toddleland. I'm so sad putting Pound here because it's just like, I really liked Pound until he didn't die. Really liked Pound until he didn't die. Katakuri putting Pound. Who else do we have? Oh, Brule, I think, also turned out to be a redeemable good guy character in the end. Charlotte High Fat. Yeah, this should be an easy sweep for Katakuri. All right. Wano. Wano's got a huge roster of characters. I'll put the prominent ones to start with. And then we can consider putting in some lower ones. Oh, I should have put in Chiffon. I just don't think it'll be Katakuri, so it doesn't matter. Zora's blue-haired dad or something. I could also put in Yasue. Let's see how this poll goes. Oh, this is tight. This is pretty tight. I don't know if people are voting Yamato to piss me off or if it's truly from the bottom of people's hearts. Ebrahim's is not a big fan of the Wano roster. It's also the biggest roster of side characters ever, for sure. All right. All right, we're gonna say Odin takes this, but we're gonna run it again, and we're gonna add in some other Wano staples because Wano's got so many. Odin, Yasue, Tama, Suki, Odin, Yasue, Tama, and Hyogoro. Flatar says people like Yamato over Momo. I feel like some people are voting Momo or Yamato to piss me off. Yeah, let's add in Moria and Denjiro. Some people are saying Ryuma, but Ryuma, the problem is, like, I think the version of Ryuma that's in Monsters isn't canon. So we've never really gotten to see Ryuma in One Piece. I've heard that it's two different canons. I can throw in Toko into the next batch, but it does look like Odin is still edging it here. All right, we're gonna do it again. All right, Wano, and then this time we're gonna do. Wano's got so many fucking characters. We're gonna do Toko, Hiyori, and we're gonna throw in Moria. No, nobody likes Hiyori. We could do Yukimaru slash Onimaru. Onimaru slash Yukimaru. Yeah, I put Moria in there. Yeah. Okay, it does look like Odin's gonna take it. It does look like Odin's gonna take it. Anime Lane, thanks for the 2. Shiki, NBA tomorrow. Don't sleep on the Lakers. This is the first time in a long time. You guys notice I haven't been boring you guys with NBA stuff for a while. I'm not gonna include Shiki because I don't think Shiki's gonna win, and I'm tired of doing the poll for this. I think this is the. I realized this is the least excited I've been for the NBA in my 10-ish years of watching. I will now have been an NBA fan for a decade. That feels kind of cool because I started in the 2015-2016 season. This is the least excited I've been for the start of an NBA season ever. I think this is the first time that I was legitimately not really. I didn't even know tomorrow's the opening day. Like I didn't even know that tomorrow's the first day of NBA season. I didn't know till today. Like I knew before your comment, but it was today that I saw it. That tomorrow the NBA season starts. Legitimately not excited at all, because just not hyped. Like just not excited about any of the current stuff. My hope is that one of like my teams, the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Spurs, the Warriors, one of the teams, or even the Timberwolves, one of the teams that I like, puts it together and is like really good this season. But everything's just such a. Spurs might be too early. Timberwolves, I don't know if they're actually going to get their shit together. It depends a lot on Anthony Edwards. Warrior, like everything just seems bleak. Feels like the Thunder or the Rockets or someone from the East is going to win. I don't know. The Loman, thanks to the 2. Don't downplay Yamato's development. You're right. The cover story did change her a lot. Yeah, the Nuggets obviously could be really good this year, but I'm not ready to believe again. Because it's been, since 2023, it's been 2 seasons in a row now that I've felt like the Nuggets should win. Like, they've got a solid shot at the title or whatever, and then they just lose in the second round in like a game 7 or whatever. When that happens that like multiple times in a row, it's just like, man. And both times I genuinely thought that Jokic would be. I did think they'd lose to the Thunder this year. I did feel like the writing was on the wall after they dropped. It was either game 2 or 3 that they really needed to have won, and then they dropped that. I forget exactly, but I did think that the Timberwolves, Jokic would pull through in game 7, and he didn't. And then Jokic did not play anywhere near as good as he should in that Thunder series either. So I no longer have as much faith in the Nuggets, and I don't want to watch the fucking Thunder win again. I don't know. I have no joy right now for the NBA. It's more so like cautious, like we'll wait and see. I might tune into a game here or there, but I'm going to let the season play out a little bit and then see like, oh, maybe the Thunder are doing bad. That would be nice. And then maybe I get excited to watch again or something, you know? Elbaf. MOH says Nuggets went 7 with OKC. They did have a chance last year. I don't mean that. I'm saying like they did have a chance both years. Both years they had a solid chance. But like both years they went out in a very disappointing fashion, which was like game 7, right? So like both years it's like, damn, they couldn't do it again. And both years, the teams that did win, the Celtics and the Thunder, are teams that literally my least favorite team to win either of those years. So like when back-to-back years, the team that you least want to win is the one that wins, it can be a little disappointing, you know? It doesn't help that I somewhat bought into the Lakers fake hype train, and I kind of came to believe that maybe the Lakers have a shot at doing something this last season in the playoffs, and then that they crashed and bombed in the first whatever. MOH says the Nuggets got better this offseason, though. That's something to be excited about. Yes, they did get better. The Thunder are going to be much better. Once you win your first championship, just the experience and like the like they're a very young team, right? So like the experience all coming together, it's kind of like when the Warriors won their first one in 2015. When the Warriors won their first one in 2015, it was like maybe they won that a little bit too early, because it's like, you know, maybe that was their first run at the title and there were some injuries and stuff that allowed them to get there. But then after that happens for a young team, it's just like they one, they feel like they're ahead of schedule. Two, like they've got like the player that's going to start vying for best player in the world, SGA, MVP, etc. They're going to be riding such a confidence and a high that you could very well see another like 2016 Warriors-esque team. Like the jump in just like getting the monkey off your back and like just being experienced and like confident that like we won, right? It makes for young teams, it like does so much for them, and they can become really, really, really good after that. Luka is putting belt to all these dudes. So I'm gonna be honest, as a Luka fan who was rooting for the Mavs all of like in their 2024 playoff run, as the Mavs were making their way to the finals, and I was really rooting for Luka. I did think after that Thunder series, I was like, low key, I feel like Shea played better than Luka in that series, and I didn't want to admit it because I thought Luka was the better player and I thought Shea was overrated. After this last season, I think Shea might be better than Luka, and that's me speaking as somebody who hates Shea. I think Shea's, with the way the rules are officiated, with the way the shitty way the rules are officiated, in terms of like result, it like with the way the rules are officiated, it's arguable that Shea does have an argument for like best player. Yeah, Kingling says Luka was injured. I agree, but then you got to show what you can do when you're not injured. And it's like, I don't know. Like, Shea's already done it. He's already proven it, right? So it's hard to take away from him. And I hate Shea. MOH says Shea is 100% better than Luka. I don't even have an argument. I can't argue that right now until he's proven otherwise. Anyway. Yeah, I know Luka's thrown for a loop by that trade. We all were, but like at a certain point, it's just like, okay, well, the other guy's done this, right? And then there's nothing like, we've got the hypotheticals for Luka, right? But the other guy's already done it. So, you know, it's got to see. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that Shea is definitely better than Luka. It's just like, it's not worth, there's no argument for it right now that I feel comfortable making. Flat says Shea and his brand of basketball is awful for the sport. If the NBA continues to be officiated this way, it's just like Shea's going to be and I personally do I strongly believe that the NBA is trying to push Shea, because the stupid argument that Thunder fans make that is like trying to counter that is like, OKC is a small market. Why would the NBA want OKC to be the number one team in the NBA? It doesn't make sense. It's like, I don't think the actual team market matters that much. What the NBA needs way, way, way more than anything else is like a marketable face of the league. And historically, the NBA has always loved that player being a guard. Like, it is always like that is when the NBA does its absolute best. When it's got a guard that's like a flat, like a skilled guard that kids growing up want to play like, that they can emulate. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, more recently Steph Curry, right? LeBron is the anomaly just because LeBron was so good that he was like just the best player in the league, and he was marketable, still a wing, right? Still a outside in player, right? Like, LeBron still could be that, and it was just clear he's the best player, so the league didn't just search for anything. But in general, shoe sales, like jersey sales, all of that, like what basketball is represented by is like skilled guards doing skilled guard things, right? MJ, Kobe, Steph, Shea is the easiest route that the NBA has towards that, because Anthony Edwards, too young, not ready. Luka is off doing whatever, right? Like, he's been on a topsy-turvy journey. Jokic is boring. Giannis is, or not Jokic is boring. I don't think he's a boring player, but like Jokic, big white center, not much of the personality like that. Giannis, just big bulldozing Greek guy or whatever. The NBA's at a fucking loss. Like, Wemby's this tall-ass alien. Don't know when he'll be good, what fans will think of him, right? Shea is the easy pick for the NBA to push. I truly, truly believe that. It's a two-guard, right? People even say, like, he kind of plays like Kobe a little bit. Like, if the NBA just recognized that we all hate Shea, then maybe they could stop giving him those shitty-ass calls. But I don't think they get it. Anyway, Anime Lane says Shaq had it for 2 to 3 years, because again, Shaq's kind of like a LeBron case where like that player is just dominating the NBA. There's nothing like to really be done about it. Like, that player is just absolutely demolishing the NBA. Like, they are the face. And Shaq and LeBron, at least unlike Jokic, they knew how to market themselves. Like, LeBron has always been a master marketer, and Shaq also commends himself for being a master marketer. Like, he tried to do a lot. He made himself a very big personality. He was in all commercials, doing movies, doing comedy stuff. Like, Shaq wanted to be a brand, and he did that very much. Jokic could maybe do that. Like, he could have maybe tried to take the face of the NBA thing, but it doesn't help that he's not a guard, and then he's also foreign, and he doesn't want to even try to make himself a brand like that, you know? All right. Anyway, Elbath. Harold, Loki, Gabon, I guess Jarl? I'm not going to put Dorian Broggie. Yeah, Jarl's really funny. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put Loki. I think Harold could win me back over. The chapter where he betrayed Rocks just really threw a lot away for me. Harold could win me back over. I could put Hadruden. I'll put Hadruden here. Oh, yeah, we can do... No, if we do God Valley, it's just too many characters. Because we got Blackbeard, Shanks, Rocks. Gabon solo is crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I like Gabon a lot. Yeah, we got Loki. God Valley, we'll leave it alone. Also, because I want to go eat dinner. I'm really fucking hungry. I'm really hungry now. All right, everybody. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. This is a solid list. If I want to go, let me go through real quick and say my favorite from every place. Go Kingdom, I would also say Garp. Shellstown, I got Helmepo. Orangetown, I think I got the mayor over Chocho. Maybe I got Chocho over the mayor because I don't think I care for the mayor that much. I guess I got Chocho. Syrup Village also have Kaya. Kokoyashi Village, I actually have Nojiko. I actually have Nojiko for Kokoyashi Village. I think I liked Nojiko. It's kind of like, I just liked her and Nami's dynamic. Nah, I might have Gen. It might be Gen. Bellamy are obviously great character and really sad to see her die, but then like Gen and Nojiko are in it for a lot longer. And I think I just enjoy, like, Nojiko felt like a very human element in the whole thing, and she was kind of our narrator figure for the whole arc. And Gen is just a cool dude. He has some dramatic moments. That's a tough one. I think I'll go Nojiko. For Kokoyashi Village. Loketown, ooh, it hurt. If you asked me like a few years back, I'd have said Smoker, but Smoker is just, I can't cling on to him until he gives me something more. And Roger is just recency bias in my head. We've had so much Roger stuff recently. Got Roger. Verse Mountain, I would also take Crocus over Laboon. Drum Kingdom, Hero Look Easy. Alabasta, yeah, I got Vivi. Jaya, Cricket, obviously. Skypea, Wiper, yeah. Water 7, Tom, yeah. Thriller Bark. Lola. I guess Perona now. Wait, did Perona win the poll, but I put Lola? I forget. I'm sorry if I did that. Saboti, yeah, really. Amazon Lily. I like Shaki better than Hancock, personally. I think Hancock's personality is just a bit grating. It's a bit grating on me. I like Shaki better. Fishman Island. Is Fisher Tiger my favorite from Fishman Island? I think I like Hachi best out of Fishman Island. Dressrosa. It is Kiros, yeah. Zoe. I got Pedro, yeah. Pedro, maybe Beppa. No, Pedro, definitely. Tadaland, obviously Katakuri. Wano is difficult. I think Momonosuke might be my favorite character out of Wano. Momonosuke, Kinemon, or Odin, it depends on the day. I think Momonosuke might be my favorite out of Wano. And then probably Odin and then Kinemon. I came to like Kinemon quite a bit. It was very sneaky. It was no individual moment. It was just a slow and steady thing over time. The Loman says, bro, dude, reread Hancock arc. I'm just telling you her personality is grating on me. That's not like from a lack of understanding or like not knowing her backstory. I'm just saying that like I don't enjoy Hancock's general personality, you know? I don't dislike the character either. That's the tricky thing. Like I do, how do I say this? I actually like Hancock fine as a character. Her personality can be, I should say that. Her personality can be grating on me. Whereas Shaki is a character that I like quite a bit in that she, like from the beginning, from the get-go, she was this mysterious bartender who we slowly began to realize is more important. And then she's got some strange wisdom as time goes on. And then there's a lot of things that kind of pile up about her character. Like slowly we began to be like, wait, was she on Rox's crew? Because Oda was dropping hints and stuff. Then finally we learn of her previous roles, Empress of Amazon Lily, etc., and then her big role in this flashback. I don't dislike Hancock, I guess I would say. I like Hancock as a character. I think she's a mixed character for me in that like I like her in some ways, don't super like her in some other ways, but I think I like her overall as a character. It's just that Shaki's a character that I through and through really like. This is best character from every island, right? So if we say best character, I think it turned into favorite character. If we say best character, I would agree that maybe Hancock is the better character than Shaki, and that there's maybe a bit more going on there. Fishman Island, the best character is Fisher Tiger, right? My favorite is Hachi. If we were to do best character from each, then it becomes a little bit different. Elbaf, I also got Loki right now. If we were to say best from each, then I'd say I think Ace is the best character from Goa Kingdom. I think Ace is one of Oda's best written characters. I think Helmepo is a phenomenally written character from Shellstown. Not phenomenally, but like his cover story alone I'd say for a cover story character arc, Helmut Poe has the best cover story character arc that I can think of. Um, like it's a really good cover story character arc. Orangetown, Chocho, yeah, like that. Kaya, yep. Kokoyashi Village. I think Bellamere is the best storyline from Kokoyashi Village. Loketown, I think Smoker's the best written character. Verse Mountain, maybe Laboon. I don't know. Hero Look obviously still here. Vivi still here. Cricket, Wiper, Tom, nothing changing here. Lola, yeah. Rayleigh, yeah. Hancock, yeah. Fisher Tiger, yeah. Kiros, yes. Pedro, yeah. Katakuri, yeah. I think Momonosuke is the best written character from Wano. And then Loki so far is shaping up to be the best written character from LVF. So if we were to say best written character, I think some things shift. I would agree that Hancock is the better written character than Shaki. I'm just talking preference. Condog Store, thanks for being a Yonko team member for 3 months. Just got here. Glad to see Wiper getting the respect he deserves. Yeah, Wiper is my favorite non-Stride character, or has been in One Piece for some time. I might do a little re-ranking for myself of like my favorite non-Straw Hats in One Piece after God Valley is done. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I really do need to go eat now because I'm very hungry. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. And yeah, with that, I will talk to you